Morning, Felipe.
Morning. The Knicks
Are
they're really good.
a good basketball team. This is something that hasn't happened in nearly a quarter century.
It's the 90s all over again.
They've beaten the Celtics 3 times in 5 weeks, twice in Boston.
Saw how they beat the Heat too, right?
Take a look at their record. They've beaten like all winning teams in the last 6 weeks. It's remarkable. I think like the worst team they've beaten since the end of January is the Hawks, who are like right around 500 in Atlanta.
It's old Tibbs mixed with young, fun, exciting, explosive players. It's awesome.
Here's the funny thing, and outside the occasional, like Brunson couldn't play because of a foot last night, but otherwise, it's funny, they all play, and they all play big minutes.
Randall's played every game this year, I think.
Yeah. RJ Barrett's missed like 2 or 3. Brunson's missed 5. Right. It's amazing.
15 seconds.
You can play every game, and you can play like 38 minutes a night. Huh.
You better not get any stars over there. They've got just pseudo stars, if you know what I mean. Once they take that next step, David, they won't be able to play that many games.
Well, there's no doubt.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. It is the first Monday of March. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting things off with us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you? How was your weekend?
It was great. It was busy. I'm in charge. The wife has left town. She's left the daughter and I.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Isn't this like twice in a month?
Yes.
Wow. She's got a nice little thing going on here.
Well, she's has the ability to mask these vacations as work trips.
Oh, okay. All right. So where's she working this week?
Somewhere on a cruise ship destined for Mexico today, as far as I know.
Boy, that's a hell of a veterinary conference going on a cruise ship.
Yep, CE at sea. That's where they're at.
Grueling is what it sounds like. Man,
it does sound rough.
Man, she may need a 3-day weekend after she goes back from that.
Well, funny you should say that. She gets back on Thursday in time to have a 3-day weekend before she goes back to work.
Well, it's a good thing, Mark. She's really grinding it out. You know, she is the breadwinner these days. So, you know.
These days.
Well,
this decade, for crying out loud.
Mark, I threw that out there that way with the hope that one day Miller and or Moulton would make money. That's what that was all about. That was a sign of respect / hopefulness.
If you're looking to sponsor a radio show, now would be the time to let you know we have opportunities available.
That's all. That was just being hopeful. That's all. You know, there's still time. Of course, it's never happened before. Why would it happen now? But come on now, Mark. You can't close the door on hope, right?
Not at all.
You know,
not at all.
As our buddy Pat Kerwin is fond of saying, you have to provide winning or hope. Well, goodness knows we haven't done a whole lot of winning. We've grinded out a bunch of Jeff Fisher 8-8 seasons. Okay. But maybe, just maybe, one of these days, there is hope.
Good to know that we've got some hope, David.
I heard that there was a traumatic event, though, over the weekend for you. That apparently the team of which you are an assistant coach of lost.
Took our first L yesterday.
The
head coach took it with a lot more difficulty than I think any of the 8-year-olds did.
And his assistant coach.
No, I trust me. I don't. You know me. I don't care.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
right. You probably deep down are kind of like, these kids need to lose a couple.
They'd won 3 in a row. It was time to let them get a loss and
There you
find
go.
out what that end of it was. You know me. I had no problem with, but when he was given this Newt Rockneys between innings, I had to walk away and laugh twice. All right, we're down 2. We got to get the bats going. They don't know what you're talking about.
Get the bats.
Try not to do circles in the outfield right now.
Get the bats going. You're not going to do anything with my pink bat, are you? It's my favorite. For goodness sake. I'm just curious, is there any incentive that kids are playing for these days? Because I don't know if they did this when you played, Mark. You and I are of similar age. When I played baseball, Little League anyway, if you won, you got ice cream. But if you lost, you only got the hamburger / hot dog and fries. That was it.
I remember, and it wasn't at my field. I remember my buddy played, and they got the shaved ice there, the snow cones, if they won. That was the big thing. You got the snow cone if you won.
Okay.
And no, now really not. It's a win-win situation for the kids because now, David, what we have is a snack list. And every parent is in charge of bringing a snack because apparently we can't play a game without the kids having a snack after the game. So snacks are provided.
When did your softball league turn into Rex Ryan's Jets training camp?
If the coach would have finished the game, hey, we took a tough loss, let's go have a snack. I would have been more fired up about it.
I can imagine back in the day, my mom being in charge of snacks. She'd be like, yeah, I'm working 2 jobs. You're lucky I get the kid to the game. All right. Snacks, please. We're going to hit a hamburger joint, okay, after the game for my kid. That's it. I don't have enough money for snacks for everybody else. Give me a break. What do you think the concession stands for?
Well, those aren't healthy snacks.
Yeah, darn right. You're darn right. Uh-huh. Fuel for America for many a generation.
She walked out with a little packet of some sort of, fruit thing. She had some chips. She had a drink. I mean, it was like a meal for crying out loud.
Goodness sakes.
Problem she has is she had dad hold the ruffles. By the time she gets them back, there aren't any left. Don't hand me the chips, kid. You know what's going to happen to those.
Hey, it's the cost of doing business.
Darn right it is.
Miller and Moulton on this Monday. I got to tell you, I was out of town for the weekend, and I was in the greater Baltimore area. The wife's best friend's youngest son became an Eagle Scout. Now both sons are Eagle Scouts. Let me tell you, they rattle off all the things that this 14-year-old has done already in his life.
How insignificant did you feel?
Man, I felt like a complete failure. I'm sitting there at 57 going, I don't know if I've done like 3 of these things. This guy's done all of it. He checked off this whole list. Man. No wonder he's so popular with the ladies. Damn. This kid's got it going on. Pretty impressive what they do.
It really is.
One thing I will say, though.
Very dedicated to get to that level.
But there was, the ceremony afterwards, which was very nice. And there were a couple times in the ceremony, though, in which, you're up, down, up, down. Okay. I'm like, hey.
That's Sunday mornings for me, David.
I understand.
Throw a couple kneels and you got a mass.
Right. I didn't realize that Eagle Scout was like, going to Catholic church on Sunday. I'm like, hey, okay, enough. This is like 6 up and downs. That's all I got in me. All right. I already feel insignificant. Now you're making me feel old with all the up, down, up, down.
You're right. Because if they give you 6 up downs, usually at our place, they throw in a snack.
We had to wait for the post-ceremony meal. So, which I will say was loaded with carbs. So it was a big hit with me. But so it was nice to see some people who we don't normally see.
Is there a buzz for the Orioles this year, David?
A buzz? I wouldn't quite call it a buzz. No.
A murmur?
they're intrigued because they're like, well, listen, last year was incredible. Came out of nowhere. We won 25 more games than we were expected to win, but we added nothing, basically, to the pile. So they're kind of curious. Are we going to go back to being bad again? Or do we have a good young team that, good young teams just keep getting better? And we don't really need to add to it. We just need them to keep developing. So that's the sense that I got. Plus, it's a Penn State household, but the oldest goes to the University of Maryland. So you got that dynamic going on. Okay.
That's a way to really
right
upset the apple cart in the family there.
Well, it's a much bigger deal to Maryland than it is Penn State, but the parents are really proud Penn Staters, dad in particular. Okay. I mean, the six of us were having dinner Friday night, and I looked at him and I go, you okay with this? I said, no, I can't believe you're letting them wear a Terrapins hoodie there. And Mom chimed in, well, it was $4 on clearance. I go, oh, well, if it's less than $10, I understand. Then it doesn't really count. But, Dad's like, yeah, I'll wear something when he graduates. All right, that's it. Wow. Like, next year it's Penn State at Maryland. Okay, and the one son's apparently he wants to do what we do, which is, I've tried desperately to talk him out of it. I really have. All right. Obviously.
Keep working on him. Have him call me.
You know what? Here was where I failed. So we had a Thursday night game on Fox in December, right before the pandemic, in Baltimore. And I made the mistake of taking him and his brother and his parents down on the field, Cowboys, Ravens, before the game. And Aaron Andrews was their tour guide. So needless to say, all right, he's hooked. He thinks it's exciting. He thinks everybody looks like that. Okay?
Right. And works for a network. And
right. Yes.
It all goes that well when there's 10 of those jobs in the country.
Maybe. And yes, so he's thinking, bright lights, superstar, what have you. And I keep looking at him and going, look at me. Look at me. Okay. This is your future. Does this excite you? Or plumbing? Think plumbing. You're always in need. You make really good money. There's never a recession. Ever. But he's still got Aaron Andrews and, Thursday Night Football still on his head. So, anyway. So, apparently there's already a game circled on the calendar, Mark. Who knew the Penn State at Maryland football was such a biggie? But apparently it is.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, that was my weekend. It was nice, though. I was around people, Mark. All right? People. Had broke bread with other people, had conversations with other adults. I don't know what to do with myself.
And I spent the whole weekend with an 8-year-old. So we were on opposite ends. You solving the world's problems and me getting her ready for softball.
Although a very funny thing happened. We were in the same row, same seats on both flights. Jacksonville to DC, DC to Jacksonville. Well, it turns out that a family of 5 was in the exact same seats on the same flights. They were going up for a wedding. And it was a husband and a wife and 3 daughters, all between the ages of like 18 months and 3 years. Yes, they were directly in front of us for both flights. All right. God has a sense of humor. Let me tell you, because our daughter was the kid who would stand up in the chair, turn around, look at the person behind him and go, hi, 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 for the whole flight. So guess what, Mark? We had 3 of those for 2 flights. Hi, hi, who are you? Hi.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You talking about Dave Wills spits? we missed one show and it wasn't even our fault.
Oh, is there a fight? Battlehawks and Defenders got into a fight in the XFL?
Yep, not even our fault, Ambien. A while, Steve. We gave it a while. But once we had to cancel guests and stuff, the show was basically gutted. Paul, obviously. Philly, what's hell?
The situation you were describing of you being stuck on a plane and a kid.
Oh,
hi.
Here was the worst part, obviously, because there's 6 seats across, 3 and 3. So it's a husband, a wife, and the 3 young daughters. That means there's one passenger who's stuck.
Yeah.
And I, of course, kept talking to that passenger through the seat. I kept going, is it too early to ask for a refund? Want to get away? A new cookie?
Don't they always have new cookies? I feel like they come out with a new one every year or so. Also, I love how Josh Gordon is an XFL beast now.
Have you watched any of it?
No. He's 31.
Apparently, Mark, they are using in the XFL, they're using changes to the clock. Like it's moving faster. Like I don't know. I don't even think they stop it when it goes out of bounds or something like that. I was reading some stuff. Or they reset the ball, and once they reset the ball, then the clock continues.
Go Raiders. I would have to say it doesn't. I would have to say that the Thin Mint is far superior to the Samoa.
15 seconds. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. First Monday of March. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We were not with you on Friday. It was not our fault. No, really, it wasn't. The internet didn't work in the building where is Command Central. And it didn't just work for, our studio. Like, didn't work for the building. It affected, 6 other radio stations. I mean, we don't care about them, mind you. But, it was just to let you know, it wasn't just an our thing. So, by the time they got it fixed, the show is basically, So that's why we weren't with you on Friday. I know you all think the minute we're not here, we've been fired again.
And it's a logical conclusion to come to.
I mean, in 16, 17 years, we have been fired twice. And so our diehards think the minute we're not there, we're fired. Not even that, hey, maybe they took a day off. No, if they're not there.
And it wasn't really a day off because we were up. We were ready. We were here.
Right.
We did the prep work. We were ready to do the show.
Right. Did it feel like a day off? I got up at 4:12 a.m. I mean, if you're getting up at 4:12, I mean, you want to do a show. I had notes and everything. Prep. I mean, I did a starting 5 to no one in particular. I just sat in front of my computer screen and just did a starting 5.
I almost called you to do today was a day when, because it's a lot more fun when you interject certain points.
And not only that, you did all the prep work. You're like, man, I want to get this in.
Now, I am taking Thursday and Friday of this week off. David is flying solo for 2 days, which should make most of you happy.
I'll be back in studio, by the way. I'll be in the 239 for Thursday and Friday. All right, we're coming to town. We're getting our taxes done. We got some business to take care of. Some things to close.
You guys are a traveling crew. I mean, this is 2 trips in 2 weeks. Holy cow.
I'm not so sure we'll be able to, that my wife will leave the greater Jacksonville area for the rest of 2023 after next week. But yeah, so, leave the cameras, Mark. That's all I have to say. And Felipe may get his own camera for 2 days. Very dangerous precedent we may set.
Finally.
Felipe hears the danger, though. That means when you fall asleep, everybody will see it.
Well, this will encourage me not to fall asleep then.
Yeah, Felipe, we've encouraged you. We've threatened you. It doesn't matter. It just when you're tired, you're tired. And so I'm just saying, and you only have to have a short doze off too. It could be 14 seconds. It's captured forever.
He went down Thursday.
Oh, I did. Early.
I wish you all. Well, first off, it's another reason to take in Miller and Moulton via our Twitch channel. Okay, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Because Mark has a few different ways he handles Felipe falling asleep. All right. Sometimes he just smiles, laughs, maybe even takes a picture. All right. Sometimes he gets up and he like bangs on the window. All right. Other times he'll like get up, he'll walk to the window, he'll just start gently tapping on it. He gives me a signal like, hey, you got to vamp for a little while. All right. I gotta mess with the youngster here. So Felipe, it usually depends on when you fall asleep. If it's during a slow time in the show, it's funny.
When it's 6:12, it usually annoys me a little bit more.
Right. If we're within 90 seconds of a break and you're asleep, it's worrisome. So Felipe, be ready. Get a good night's sleep Wednesday night, baby. All right. I'm going to be there Thursday and Friday mornings. We're taking down the house. We've talked about this before, and, didn't want to start the show off with this, but when you're not a good team, the broadcaster is more important. And when Dave Wills started broadcasting Rays baseball, it was 2005. They hadn't had their breakthrough 2008 season yet. So he and Andy, they're broadcasting teams losing 100 games every year. And a lot of older players on the downside, they're the Devil Rays. And they're being made fun of, especially by Yankee and Red Sox fans. And then obviously we all know what the Rays have done for the last 15 years. It's been remarkable. But also Dave Wills, along with Andy Freed, have been a really good listen. We were lucky enough to have the two of them on a handful of occasions over the years. Haven't had them on in a while. But, I mean, you've got Dwayne Stats along with Brian Anderson on television. They've been doing it for a while. They're a good TV team. And you got Dave Wills and Andy Freed on the radio. And, I mean, Mark, I don't know how much baseball you sample around the country, but I think the Rays, if you put their TV and radio teams together, they're top 10 in the business.
I think
easy.
I think both have been quality listens for a long time.
And 58-year-old Dave Wills died yesterday morning. And that's just one of those things in which if you're, even a casual sports fan, never mind if you're a Rays fan, you're like, oh, no.
Stop me in my tracks. One, because he's died at 58.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first part of it. He's a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they were a really good duo. They'd done it together for a long time. And that's part of what baseball is, at least to you and I. You and I are of similar age to what Dave was. And baseball for us is largely as much of a radio sport as it is a television sport.
Yes, very much so. Baseball on the radio is a companion that you took with you in the summer. Where I grew up, would mean down the shore. Where Mark grew up, it would be to the lake or lakes. And you took your team with you. And the radio broadcaster oftentimes had as much popularity as the TV folks. And Dave Wills, along with Andy Freed, a really good team. They were informative. They were funny, poke fun at themselves. Had no problem addressing press box food, during the broadcast. Some of the choices and some of the newer ballparks. Dave Wills, before doing 18 years of Rays, did over a decade of the White Sox. But Dave Wills, who missed the last 2 weeks of last year's regular season with some heart issues. He had to get checked out. He did come back and do the playoff series when they lost to the Guardians. And he and Andy did the broadcast Saturday, spring training game. Dave Wills passed away at 58.
Sad day for the Rays and for Rays fans and really for baseball fans, because that's a fraternity that does a hell of a job of, as David said, being the extension of that team to so many people. And he was that, very much so, to that Rays team for 18 seasons broadcasting the games.
And as we've talked about, for those that, mock Rays and Marlins, they don't have any fans, nobody cares. Actually, the Rays have tremendous TV and radio ratings. They do. The Rays network may not be the biggest network in the world. This isn't the Cubs and the Twins and what have you, but Rays do really well, TV and radio. They do excellent numbers. And Mark, you and I are of the belief that this is where the broadcasters count.
100%. And as you mentioned, particularly at the start of his tenure when they weren't good and when people aren't going to the games, but they're still listening. That's that extension that you and I have always talked about to the fan base. And David Wills dead at the age of 58. The starting five on the other side. We thank you so very much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, here's the deal. I want to keep all the Big Ten bubble teams out. Honestly. I just, that includes Rutgers. They've lost 6 of 8. Once they lost their best player, that you can't argue they're a tournament team now.
Shelby's got Rutgers out, for the record.
Okay.
Shelby's got Rutgers out. His last 4 in, he has Wisconsin on the in line. Michigan's on the next 4 out with North Carolina, for what it's worth.
But, I mean, there's a part of me that wants Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, Rutgers. Just leave them all.
He's got Penn State in.
Penn State has 12 losses. Michigan is 14. Rutgers is 13. Wisconsin has 13.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's got Wisconsin and Penn State in. I'm just telling you what.
I know. Can we just at some point just admit this is, and by the way, this should be the year to people out there. Oh, we should have a 96 team tournament. Really? Think about who'd be getting in this year.
Let's hold off here on that till like 7:00. That's a segment before you use all your angst during a commercial break.
Just making a point.
No. Well,
I know.
It was a good point.
Thanks.
I'm just stopping you.
Thanks. Do love this time of year though.
Watched a good chunk of the second half of Kennesaw Liberty.
Did you really? Look at you. Look at you.
Well, I had the sound of the golf on because the golf was pretty good.
Okay.
They've gotten pretty damn lucky with these full field events of having everybody play pretty decently, good leaderboards.
Yeah. By the way, a tour pro in the middle of the pack posted something Friday, Saturday, in which he said, hey, don't shoot the messenger. But if I'm like the 90th, the 80, 90 guy, and I'm looking at how the PGA Tour set up, why wouldn't I just jump to the LIV? He goes,
well, one, they've got to want you.
Well, but he said, if I'm the LIV, he goes, this might be a chance to, tinker a little bit. He goes, and especially get some of the younger guys. But
the younger guys, from what, talking to Buck, because McNeil played in Puerto Rico.
Right. And he made the cut.
Yeah, both Lamley had a good weekend.
Yeah, Lamley did.
Had a bad Sunday, had a good Saturday.
T20, T21, something like
that.
But
like they make it really hard. Those guys, like the Lamleys and the McNeils, to get into tournaments now, it's next to impossible because you've got these full field events that, like the Bay Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the guys that aren't in those are playing every tournament now. So if you're in that not status, it's really tough to get in. Like he didn't get into Pebble. How do you not get into Pebble?
One minute. Mark, are you watching SportsCenter right now?
Mm-hmm.
You're watching the Bucks highlights?
Mm-hmm.
Watch what Giannis does at the end of this game.
It's okay. See the end of Dallas Phoenix.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That goes back to last year's playoffs.
I know. That's what I told him. I said Booker just called him a little B. And did you not see Game 7? No, for the second round of the playoffs, I missed it.
Although I love it. I love the B. So watch. Giannis gets his 9th rebound.
That's funny. Pathetic, but funny.
David, he threw it off the rim in garbage time with 2 seconds left and grabbed his own rebound to get his 10th rebound to get a Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Got a good show lined up today. Steve Carney, stpete9.com, a Rays podcast, Under the Orange Roof. He'll join us 1 hour from now. Man, what a bad weekend for the Lightning. Woo-wee.
It's been a bad week and a half for the Lightning. It's 5 in a row.
Henry Yoho to join us to talk about what in the wide world of sports is going on there. He'll join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number one.
Well, I hope you're all ready now, okay? Because the madness has already been incredible. And for most everyone, it hasn't even started yet. Here we go. Canes Saturday won the number one seed in the ACC tournament. They beat Pitt by 2 at home. They finished in a tie with Virginia, but since they had beaten the Cavaliers in the regular season, they're the 1 seed. They get the double bye in the upcoming ACC tournament. Mark, most bracketologists have FAU in. They finished off the regular season. They won the road trip at Rice, and then Saturday night, a tough La Tech team. It's not an easy place to play. Ruston, Louisiana. They won it, close one. They finished 28-3. Our buddy Shelby Mast has got them in, even if they lose early in their conference tournament. We wouldn't recommend it, but we're just saying. Those look like the 2 teams from Florida that'll be representing in the madness this year, the Canes and FAU. UCF, by the way, finished their regular season off with a win. They'll play SMU in their conference tournament opener. South Florida finished their season off with a loss. They'll play East Carolina Thursday in their conference tournament opener. If you may have missed it, 5 automatic bids handed out over the weekend. UNC Asheville overcame a big deficit yesterday. All right, they won the Big South. SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, SEMO. Mark, they won 4 games in 4 days. Boom, 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 and boom. 2 moving overtime. They won the Ohio Valley. Drake beat Bradley in the showdown for the Missouri Valley Conference. They whooped Bradley, in fact. Bradley's 25-9, probably going to the NIT. Well, let me tell you, I'd much rather have Bradley in than one of the 19 Big Ten teams who are on the bubble.
You and me both, but they're on the next 4 out list from Shelby, so they're not going to the tournament. It's too bad.
Really
Drake wasn't going if they lost either, for the record.
Yeah, which
that was a
ridiculous.
You're right.
Kennesaw State won the A-Sun, first time ever. They beat Liberty, who's always the favorite, 67-66. And Mark, that rule that we talked about last week, the whole Division II moving up to D1, 4-year transition period, you're not eligible to go to the NCAAs. Well, Merrimack's one of those schools. They made the final of the Northeast Conference tournament. So that means the team they're playing is automatically in. Fairleigh Dickinson's in. They don't even have to win it. They're in. Fairleigh Dickinson's in New Jersey. When I was growing up there, we used to refer to that school as Fairly Ridiculous. Let's just say it's not an Ivy League school. That's all I'm saying. Tonight marked the Sun Belt title between South Alabama and Louisiana and the SoCon title between Chattanooga and Furman. Yesterday, bunch of bubble teams like Penn State rallying from a double-digit deficit second half, beating Maryland at home 65-64. Are the Nittany Lions in? They're definitely bubblicious, I'll tell you that, heading into the Big Ten tournament. So's Michigan. They lost at Indiana in overtime, 75-73. The Wolverines are 17-14. 14 losses. Probably going to have a 15th loss. You're telling me this is a tournament team? Come on. Rutgers has lost 6 of 8 after losing their best player to injury. I know they got some nice wins in January. This is March. They lost at home to Northwestern by 12. By the way, Northwestern picked 13th in the 14-team league by media and coaches. 13th. They're the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Thank you very much. The 2 seed. They don't play till Friday. And Wisconsin, despite their 13 losses, won in the barn in Minneapolis. They beat Minnesota 71-67. So between Penn State, Michigan, Rutgers, Wisconsin, who knows who's in and who's out. Makes for a pretty exciting Big Ten tournament, though. Not the Saturday, Sunday part. Who cares? And the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday part's where this tournament's really at. It's going to determine bids. The weekend, whatever. Mark, we've been doing the show a long time. And really, maybe once in 2013, I could have said this, and you wouldn't have laughed me off the show. But the New York Knicks are a good team.
I know.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
And not because their record's good. It's because their record's good and they're beating good teams to get that record.
Mark, they've beaten the Celtics 3 times in 5 weeks, twice in Boston, including last night, double overtime. No Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. And they beat the Celtics 131-129. They've won 9 in a row. Haven't lost since before the All-Star break. Steph returned, scored 27. Warriors lost at the Lakers, however. AD with 39. LA is just a half a game back, trying to get in the play-in.
Trust me, we know. We all know right where LA is. That's the Lakers.
But, KD with 37, including hitting the big shot late to overcome Luka's 34. Phoenix over Dallas, 130-126. These teams dislike one another. They are blankety-blanking each other on the court during these games. It is glorious. Right now, they would not meet up in the first round of the playoffs. Whatever has to be done to get a 4-5 matchup between Phoenix and Dallas, I'm in. Maybe a 3-6 matchup. Whatever we got to do, make it happen. Not only that, Kyrie against KD in the first round. Come on, got to admit, even if you don't like the NBA, that would be fairly entertaining. Orlando lost at home to Portland. Hey, come on, guys. You're trying to become a good team. You can't do that. Lillard with 41. Did you hear the news about Jonathan Isaac? Oh, got hurt again. He's out for the year. 2.5 years he missed with his knee injuries. He comes back, and I don't know, an abductor. I don't know. On my body, I don't even know if I have one. Okay. Anyway, he's out for the year. He played 11 games this year.
You and I are looking for deductors.
Right.
We don't need to add anything.
I'm about to do my taxes this week. I'm looking for deductions. Okay. But I don't know. He's hurt. He's out. Hey, did you hear about Ja Morant? Oh, on the court, walking around with his daughter, all smiles. Okay. Want to do an ad campaign around him. Apparently off the court, nothing but strip clubs and guns.
Well, unless he's playing basketball and beating up teenagers.
And so Ja Morant actually posted a video of him at a strip club with a gun. Not smart. I mean, even the NBA had to go, whoa, now. We know you players run the league, but we got to draw the line here. And the Memphis Grizzlies said, yeah, Ja, we need to talk. And so he's not going to play for at least a couple games. One of them was last night in Los Angeles, where Memphis blew a 15-point fourth quarter lead and lost to the Clippers, 135-129. Milwaukee beat Washington. Indiana with a painful loss for the Bulls, who are trying to get in the play-in. Indiana beat them by 3. And bad news for the Heat. Brooklyn beat Charlotte. The Heat are 2.5 back of the Nets for the 6th spot, trying to avoid the play-in. 2.5. That margin's, we're down to about 20 or so games. Just saying. The Lightning have lost how many in a row?
5.
Wow. So Saturday they lose in Buffalo. John Cooper, their Hall of Fame head coach, all right, benches Stamkos, Point, and who's the Russian winger there? Scores all the points.
Yeah.
Okay, so he benches that line for the whole third period.
Kucherov.
Thank you. So they get benched. Now, that's pretty blatant. I mean, everybody now on the bench realizes what's going on. I mean, they got 5 great players on the team. 3 of them aren't playing in the third period. And after the game, Cooper goes, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. They weren't any good. Okay, take a look at the plus minus. They weren't any good. I thought we had a better chance with them not playing. They're great players, and they'll come back, but no, don't know what to tell you. And he was actually right. They nearly came back from a 4-1 deficit, gave up an empty netter, lost 5-3. So they go to Carolina last night. You figure, the boys will respond. Yeah, 6-0 Carolina. Shots were 38-14. They give up 4 power play goals. 4 power play goals. Kucherov, Point, Stamkos, not a point between them, obviously. Hell, only 2 shots on goal between them. New Jersey keeping pace with Carolina. They won in overtime 5-4. Vegas a winner. The Kraken, thanks to Yanni Gord, former Bolt, with the overtime winner against Colorado, and Philly beat Detroit 3-1. NFL, they did the combine last week and over the weekend. The quarterback workouts got all the attention. Levis apparently had a great workout. Stroud had a great workout. Richardson had a great workout. Bryce Young didn't work out and was measured at 5 feet 10 1/8 inches and 204 pounds. Basically, he's Kyler Murray. So now make your draft plans accordingly. Kyler Murray did go first overall, after all. Tomorrow is the last day that tags can be administered. Lamar, Daniel Jones. Okay, expect Evan Ingram, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard to get tags if nothing has worked out in the next 24 hours. XFL, DC and Houston are both 3-0. Vegas and Orlando are both 0-3. Orlando lost to Arlington 10-9. Oh, so close, Mark. So close. Golf, Kurt Kitayama. Birdied 17, won the Arnold Palmer Invitational by 1 over Rory and Harris English, by 2 over Cantlay, Spieth, and Scheffler. Man, could they get a better leaderboard? And Rahm was the first-round leader. One of the great stories, though, Club Pro Greg Koch from the greater Orlando area came back Saturday morning, parred his last hole to make the cut. He finished T68. He won $42,000. For a Club Pro, that's a lot of money.
That's a good weekend right there.
LPGA in Singapore, Jim Young Ko, her first win in nearly a year, by 2 over Nelly Korda. William Byron won in Vegas. He led 176 laps. Kyle Larson was second. Ross Chastain 12th, but he's first in the points by 3. Hey, did you hear Chastain did a podcast with somebody, and that podcaster said, yeah, Ross is interested in racing IndyCar. Now, not tomorrow or anything, but he's like, no, he's interested. He may
race everything else.
Yeah, just saying. I'd love to see these guys do the double. I love when they do Indy and Charlotte on the same day. Tennis, Novak Djokovic had to withdraw from Indian Wells because his waiver request to enter the country unvaccinated was denied. Again, the U.S. is ending its COVID emergency declaration policy on May 11th. So he'll be able to enter the country unvaccinated beginning May 11th. But he wanted a waiver because he also wanted to play Indian Wells, wanted to play in Miami coming up in a couple of weeks. Yeah, it was denied. And finally, we mentioned the sad news in baseball. Longtime Rays radio broadcaster Dave Wills passed away yesterday morning, suddenly at the age of 58. But there was some college baseball over the weekend, Mark. FGCU went into Tallahassee and took 2 or 3 from the Noles, and the Gators at home took 2 or 3 from the Canes. College baseball season's about 3-4 weeks old, and just thought I'd mention it, let everybody know. And that, at 8 minutes before the hour, was...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Sounds like the starting 5 and you added a bench player, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, I had a bunch of, 3 A, B, C, 4 A, B, C. Yeah, it's March.
And then that college baseball just for Bobby Jones coming in off the bench for a quick hitter.
Yeah, well, I was able.
Man.
Well, at least it was in-state stuff.
No complaints. Just it was a good 6th man. That's all.
Thought you'd appreciate it.
I did. And we appreciate you texting the show at 21,000-21-000. If you have anything to add, say about what we've talked about. I know there was a few texts waiting for me when I came in this morning because we were not on the air on Friday with some internet problems here at the headquarters. But things are fixed and we are back and happy that you are joining us. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. We better. I don't have it up in front of me. I'm a little shocked you didn't go over Anthony Richardson's vertical jump in the starting five. I mean, David, he jumped higher than any quarterback that's ever jumped before.
I did say that the workouts were amazing.
I know, but
right. That's
just having a little fun.
I know that I intentionally stayed away from all measurables except how short Bryce Young is so that people can freak out. 5'10" and an eighth. I am now fascinated by what's going on with the Lightning. You bench Stamkos, Kucherov, and Point for the third period.
And then you lay an egg.
And then you lay as big a, and I understand you're playing a good team, but come on, you're the Lightning. I mean, as pointed out here, 4 shots through 2 periods, 0 in the second period. Holy mackerel. Stamkos, Point, and Kucherov all played 20 minutes. Whew. I saw a tweet actually, over the weekend from Next Level Baseball.
Yeah.
Was talking about FGCU going on the road, winning 2 in Tallahassee. Teams take on the personality of their head coach, and Dave Tillett is tough as woodpecker lips. I had to look it up. Apparently, it's a motivational book.
Tough as woodpecker lips?
Tough as woodpecker lips. I mean, is that like Dark Pit of Despair? Tough as woodpecker lips? I'm going to write that down.
As woodpecker lips.
Tough as woodpecker lips. I bet you're a new quote. You know how our quote in 2022 was, where are you going to go?
Mm-hmm.
I think our quote in 2023 needs to be tough as woodpecker lips.
That's an interesting one. 5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this first Monday of March. What a great sports month. Glad you could take it in with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting the first full week of March with us. We'll talk a little Rays and a little Lightning coming up in the next 90 or so minutes. Hey, I have a question. Have you ever heard this expression before? Tough as woodpecker lips.
No.
I kind of hit you out of left field there.
No, I'm tough as woodpecker lips.
Yes, this is not an FCC violation. I promise.
That sentence is lips.
Lips, tough as woodpecker lips.
I like it.
All right.
I get it. I've never heard it before.
I had never heard it either. All right. And then I stumbled across something over the weekend. You know, I threw in the little college baseball thing there at the end of the starting 5 because it was a big weekend in state. All right. FGCU, Florida State, Florida, Miami, all playing series against one another. And FGCU went to Tallahassee, took 2 or 3 for the nationally ranked Knowles. And a college baseball site called Next Level Baseball said, well, if the adage is true that teams take on the personality of their head coach, well, FGCU head coach Dave Tillett is as tough as woodpecker lips.
You know, it doesn't sound like a compliment, but it is.
Well, first thing, and it's not often, you know, when you reach, hell, we're past middle age, and you get to our age and you actually have to look something up. I'm like, damn, before I laugh or react to this, I got to know what the heck I'm laughing or reacting to. So apparently, it's also the title of a book. And apparently, it's a series of like motivational books. Tough as woodpecker lips. Huh. I didn't know.
The first title was Soft as Baby Dung. That didn't really do much for motivation.
Part 1.
Right.
Right. So remember how last year, right around this time, it was a few weeks from now, but we adopted pretty much for 2022, Bob, I think it's Castellano, the COO of the Cincinnati Reds, when he looked into the camera and basically said to the disgruntled fans, hey, where are you going to go? And that kind of became our slogan for the rest of 2022. Because you can use it a lot of different, you know, instances. And we did. Hey, where are you going to go? Well, now, Mark, I'm just wondering if for the rest of 2023, if we could, in honor of either Next Level Baseball, who, printed it publicly, or in honor of FGCU baseball coach Dave Tillett, okay, for the rest of 2023, can our motto, our slogan be, well, that's tough as woodpecker lips.
I will say they need to get a bunch of Woody Woodpecker t-shirts to wear underneath their jerseys right now. Woody Woodpecker on the front, tough as woodpecker lips on the back, and that needs to be their undergarment that they're wearing right now. That's what I'd be doing.
When they're taking BP, they're wearing that over, their jersey top and what have you. Yeah. As Paul pointed out, we had a slogan. I think it was the year after the pandemic. So 2021, I think our slogan was "You jerkin' my bobber." Okay. We basically have a slogan per year. We've been doing it now for a little while.
We have about a poll question a year too, but that's a whole nother problem that
Exactly. Okay. So early nomination. I mean, it's in the first quarter of the year. It's still early. All right. We went from "You jerking my bobber" to, "Hey, where are you going to go?" And now, all right, tough as woodpecker lips.
Miller and Moulton, tough as woodpecker lips.
I will say, if
sounds
you came
really badass. I mean, we're not, but it sounds tough.
Plus, also, it's so uncommon. I just think it would get people's attention. All of a sudden, you start listening to your favorite radio station, your favorite podcast. You turn on your favorite TV show. How about a local news station? Okay, NBC2, tough as woodpecker lips. I mean, what do you say? Pick a station. You're third in the ratings. You need a marketing pick me up.
I know, but you can be the Woodies. It's just tough to call yourself the other end of that.
Like the community we serve. Channel 10, Action News Jacks, tough as woodpecker lips. No?
No, it's more the flame-throwing rocker.
That's true.
2 for Tuesday on 95 Q Rock, tough as woodpecker lips.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, it really has more of the heat of an old FM rocker.
So, I mean, you can go to Amazon and buy, tough or tougher than woodpecker lips. I mean, it's right there.
Maybe that should be a read this year on the flights for you, David. You can get all motivated for your spotting duties reading tougher than woodpecker lips.
I mean, I'm looking at a series of covers right here. So, anyway. So, apparently, it means you're very strong, you're tough, you're resilient, which I'm guessing we all could have, come up with that ourselves. But that's apparently officially the definition and explanation. I mean, I'd like to think so. Somebody calls you tougher than woodpecker lips. I mean, at first, I don't know whether to punch the guy in the mouth or go, might be one of the nicest compliments I've ever received. So there's apparently a coffee mug, tough as woodpecker lips. I had never heard of this before. Now, granted, I'm not the coolest guy in the world. I'm not, totally up to date on everything that's going on. We all know that. But had you ever heard it before?
Actually, I hadn't.
Felipe?
I gotta lie, this is foreign territory to me.
Okay.
I mean, it makes
99.3, your rock station, tough as woodpecker.
That's what it is right there. And it's a Midwestern rock station too. It's somewhere in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, somewhere like that. Maybe in the Upper Peninsula. Sault Ste. Marie's rocker, tough as woodpecker lips.
We should have like a bird expert on the show. Talk about the science of how tough woodpecker lips actually are.
Big Ten basketball. Tough as woodpecker lips.
That's how they play defense. That tournament starts this week in the race to 65 to see who can win the first round games. Whoa, boy.
The bubble. Tough as woodpecker lips.
No, the bubble's soft as baby dung this year, David.
Oh, man, is it ever. And by the way, is this maybe the year to point out to the coaches in particular who want to expand this tournament? Are you serious? We got teams with 13 and 14 losses that are on the bubble. And you want to add another 24 teams? Seriously? Come on. How about we just actually do this the right way? How about like Penn State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Michigan? How about they just all stay home? How about they all go to the NIT? You know, and then let in the mid-majors who are really good, who have won 27 games but lose in their conference final.
Well, David, if we expanded the tournament to 96, then all these mid-majors would get in, but we'd make sure that the entire Big Ten and the entire Big 12 would be in the tournament.
Right. I have to make sure it's like SEC softball. Everybody's in. Then we fill out the rest of the bracket. Come on. And by the way, Mark, you and I both know, with the extra 24 teams, how many of them are going to be mid-majors?
2.
4. Yeah.
2 to 4.
Yeah. In fact, that's a new slogan. Okay. The mid-majors getting into the NCAA tournament. It's as tough as woodpecker lips.
Well, look at it this way. Out of the last 4 in, 1 mid-major, Nevada. And this is on Shelby Mass' list right now. First 4 out, 1 mid-major, Utah State. Next 4 out, 1 mid-major, Bradley. So out of the last 12 teams that are getting into the tournament, 3. You know, basically it's a 25% shot for these mid-majors as they get down to the end of this. There's 1 on each line. And we don't need any of these tournament teams in the tournament regardless. But it's going to go to 96 because that's what the coaches want, and that's what Greg Sankey wants.
Yeah, well, if Greg Sankey wants it, well, it's happening.
But this would be a great time for all the college basketball writers and national college writers to start penning their columns about what a bad idea this would be to expand this tournament right now, because they've got the data in front of them to point out how awful it would be.
In fact, this might be a year in which can we cut back to 64? How about if Dayton just says, no, we've seen the list of teams who may come here and we're good. We're good. We don't need to do that this year. We're fine. I'm sorry. I just have as tough as woodpecker lips still.
Yeah, I know.
In my mind.
We're going to have to get you past the woodpecker.
I'd never heard it before. None of us had. Is that a compliment or not?
No, it actually shows. I mean, come on. We've heard most of the dumb phrases that are out there, and we've missed this one.
Right. I mean, it's Miller and Moulton. We know dumb phrases.
But tough as woodpecker lips has slipped past us.
And you got to be careful. Got to make sure you get it right. Also, I mean, it's good, but you have to pronounce it properly. Where do you emphasize what? It's very key. 92.3 WNEW, where rock lives. We're as tough as woodpecker lips.
Miller and Moulton, Steve Carney coming up in around 25 minutes time. He'll talk some Rays with us. Henry Yoho covers the Bolts. He will join us at 8 o'clock to talk about what has gone on with the Lightning. We are Miller and Moulton. Tough as woodpecker lips.
Yeah!
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. That was how he started into the Will Smith thing. He's talking about Beyonce, that she could work at the drive-thru and Jay-Z would still take her as a wife because she's not hot, you know, and he goes, now, Jay-Z's working at the drive-thru. He goes, that's not a knock on Jay-Z. I don't need another rapper mad at me.
That's funny.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it, DC. Well, DC, I have to admit, the 2 days that interest the heck out of me. I have no interest in Saturday, Sunday at the Big Ten tournament, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday interests the heck out of me. I care about the bubble more than I care about. There are a lot of bracketologists, by the way, that think North Carolina has to win the ACC to get in. And Mark, did you say Shelby has Michigan on the next 4 out line?
Yes.
So that means they're 5-6 spots out.
Yes.
Whew.
Well, this is interesting. I don't know who this guy is, but Andy Johnson, who we've had on the show, liked it. I hate to complain about the broadcast, but NBC's Bay Hill coverage to be this bad after CBS coming strong out of the gate. I like NBC's coverage. I was fine with it.
I think CBS has made dramatic improvements with the pictures that they show. I actually think the broadcasting has gotten worse.
That's what I think.
But I think that
I feel like I'm watching the DP World Tour. Van Gundy's replacing Reggie Miller on CBS Turner tournament games. Reggie Miller out as part of March Madness announcer shakeup.
Oh, man.
That's in the Post. That just hit.
that's interesting.
David.
Especially since Wendy's has that whole ad campaign around.
Right.
That's true.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
David, quick question.
Mhm.
Just because, March Madness, 10-year anniversary, Dunk City.
Mhm.
You did play-by-play for those games.
Correct.
Where is the audio of those games?
Gone.
Seriously?
Mhm.
Damn. I mean, you don't have that saved anywhere, like any audio of any of those games?
Unless John saved it somewhere. But when I got fired, all that stuff got gone.
Damn. Wonder if I could somehow find a way to recover that.
I mean, maybe some of it was put on a website and archived.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this first Monday of March. Heck, week from today, we'll know who's in the tournament already. Man, the sports world, it does not stop, man. It's Players Week on the PGA Tour, right?
Yep.
I mean, man, it just years moving along. Steve Carney, he covers the Rays and baseball in the St. Pete area. He'll join us coming up in about 25 minutes. Henry Yoho covers the Lightning. Whoa, what is going on with the Lightning? Lost 5 in a row, had 4 shots on goal through 2 periods yesterday after their best players all got benched for the 3rd period on Saturday.
4 shots through 2 periods, 0 shots in the 2nd period. Do you know how hard that is to do?
A dump in didn't even go on net. I know. So, little Rays, little Lightning coming up. Hey, did you pay any attention at all to the combine?
I didn't watch a second of it.
Well, good. Good. I'd be concerned if you did.
I listened to a bunch of NFL radio because sometimes they get some really good interviews and I get to learn a little bit about a guy that I wouldn't have ever learned about. So I find some of their interviews to be terrific. I did hear about Anthony Richardson jumping so high that quarterbacks will forever be changed by his vertical leap.
Mark, high and far.
Right.
Okay, yes. And he's very fast.
Yes.
All right. He ran a 4.44, I believe. I believe that's what his 40 time was. All right. This just in. That's fast. That's even fast for a wide receiver. And he's a quarterback, as we know. And he's 6'4", and he's 240, and yeah. So his numbers, Mark, because that's what the combine is. Combine is for goobers. His numbers are amazing. They are. We can stop joking for a second. They're amazing.
They are.
So now we have to figure out, will the football player ever live up to the numbers? Because if so, this guy should be taken first overall. I mean, let's not pull any punches.
No, put him in Canton right now. Based off the vertical jump, he's in Canton.
So, and of course, he plays that position, quarterback. But apparently, C.J. Stroud's workout was amazing. apparently Will Levis's workout was tremendous. By the way, have you heard Will Levis talking about Will Levis? Whoa. LeBron goes, dude, enough of the third person, okay? I mean, Will Levis loves me some Will Levis. Oh, man. T.O. is like blushing. That's how much Will Levis loves Will Levis. I mean, does he realize he plays basketball in Lexington, football in Lexington, Kentucky? You're not playing basketball in Lexington, Kentucky. You played football. You're not that big a deal. Please. So anyway, and Bryce Young's short. This just in.
Right, and didn't throw. I mean, that bothered a lot of people that he didn't throw when everybody else did, saying he doesn't want to compete. It's a bunch of crap.
Right. And he said, what? I'll throw at my pro day. Now, it is why the quarterbacks who threw get some credit, because this is not them scripting what they're going to do. This is actually the NFL saying, okay, you ready? And then they tell you what we're doing and throwing and what have you. So, all right. But anyway, the quarterbacks, which is normally the case, Mark, the quarterbacks were the story. And I will say there's a lot of speed in this draft. It's the only part that I paid attention to. I kept seeing all these 40 times on my Twitter feed. And I will say defensively, damn, the guys are fast. I mean, they really are. It's like, wow. They move a little faster now than they used to. Look at that. But so there you have it, Mark. The quarterbacks and their measurables. And Bryce Young is short, but he's got big hands. And we all know how important that is, Mark, because remember, Joe Burrow, small hands. We all knew what a concern that was coming out of the draft 3 years ago. Oh, I don't know. Joe Burrow, yeah, it looks good, but it's got small hands. Oh, well, in that case, small hands.
But with Bryce Young, you've got a small guy. You got Kyler Murray, you got Russell Wilson, you got Drew Brees.
In fact, Brees is like, hey, they measured us in shoes in my day. I was 6'1", 6'1.5 inches.
Yeah, you were wearing the same shoes Chris Rock wore on stage Saturday night, too. Platforms.
So that's all. Worth mentioning, Mark. All right. Worth mentioning.
The other thing that happened, did you see the lineman went down in the combine running the 40?
No.
An old lineman from Oklahoma.
Why are they running?
Right.
Come on.
I mean, pulled a hamstring. It's not going to be that significant, but why are we having offensive linemen run 40-yard dashes?
Right.
I mean, it is a little ridiculous. It's like Richardson with the vertical jump. It's impressive as hell. And the broad jump. How many is he going to is it the new jump pass where we jump as high as we can and throw the football?
So Bryce Young can choose not to throw, but this guy has to run?
Well, he could have chosen not to run. The big difference.
Oh.
They don't have to do any of this. But for guys who are not, and really linemen all run, and it's really only quarterbacks that sit out of any part of this. But you can sit out. You don't have to participate.
Right. But I was enjoying the salivating that was going on, Mark, over the weekend, because the quarterbacks went last too. I mean, just, people have been eating steak and shrimp for 4 or 5 days in Indianapolis, and then they wheel the quarterbacks out. I mean, man, it was just like bulldogs in heat.
But you're right. It was a bad weekend for Bryce Young because the 3 other quarterbacks all competed, all looked really good competing.
Yeah, to its various degrees, yes. Mm-hmm.
But that's where we are with the combine, and where we go now is the play of the day, brought to you by Clutch Vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Felipe, what basketball highlight do you have for us today?
Well, you're right about that one. It was a crazy day in the NBA yesterday. The Knicks went into Boston with a 2-point lead in overtime. and won their 9th straight game.
Knicks defending quickly. Robinson, Randall, Hart, and Barrett. To Tatum in the backcourt. 5 seconds in the front court. 4 seconds driving right. To Horford. Corner 3. Short. 1 second to go. That's it. The Knicks win their 9th straight game. Coming back in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, going to double overtime, and they win it in Boston.
I mean, this is unbelievable. This is the 90s all over again. This is unheard of, in my lifetime at least.
It is in your lifetime.
Emmanuel
only-
Quickley played 55 minutes and only had 1 turnover.
Tom Thibodeau has not gotten the load management memos, by the way.
No.
The Knicks
Well, it's
players
because they don't
play
really
every
have
game.
superstars. They have good players, but they don't have superstars. And superstars are the only ones that are on load management, apparently.
So you're saying if the Knicks get a star, then there will be load management on the Knicks. Huh. Good to know.
It's the way it seems, and that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. It's Knicks with a K, and it's Clutch with a K.
Oh, there you go.
Look at you. Look at you. What are a generation of sports fans and sportscasters going to do if they can't make fun of the New York Knicks anymore? It's a decent amount of material that just went away. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
There were 18 guys in the NBA last night or yesterday that scored 30 points. 18. It's the most ever in a day in NBA history.
Funny, Paper City, how you see it, how the Celtics didn't blow it. The Knicks had a 7-point lead with a little over a minute to go in regulation. The Knicks were the ones that nearly blew it. The Celtics were fortunate to get overtime. It was a remarkable final minute of regulation by the Celtics. Hit 3 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum at 40.
It is interesting. I'm trying to figure out why it is the Knicks are matching up so well with the Celtics.
Right, because, like, who the hell's guarding Tatum? I mean, Quentin Grimes?
What's interesting is that the Celtics can't, who are a good defensive team, cannot get stops against the Knicks. I can't believe the Knicks beat them last night without Brunson. I don't care how well,
In Boston.
quickly played.
They're undefeated since acquiring Josh Hart.
Undefeated since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm. I love that pickup for them, too. Get a guy your best player loves.
Well, they're talking about it. I don't know who the next quote-unquote star that's going to raise their hand and say, I want out. But the Knicks have 7 first-round picks and cap room. And they can include R.J. Barrett in any trade.
Mm-hmm.
But now the key becomes, so at what position, though?
I mean,
A small forward?
a small forward, yeah. Because right now, R.J. Barrett is your small forward. I am curious to see what they do in the postseason.
Well, it's what we've talked about with the East and the NHL. I mean, there are 6 really good teams in the East. 2 of them are not getting out of the first round minimum. There's 5 really good teams in the East in the NBA. I mean, Cleveland or the Knicks, one of them's losing in the first round.
I'd love a Heat Knicks playoff series in the first round.
Well, that can't happen.
Well, the Heat can win some games, and it might happen.
They'd have to get to 4 or 5. I mean, the Heat are like, no. Heat would have to go like 17-3 the rest of the way.
Go on, Steve.
I figure we get into
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
.22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. Henry Yoho, who covers the Lightning, to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Steve Carney's kind enough to join us today. stpete9.com, stpete9.com. He also hosts Under the Orange Roof podcast. You can follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, it's David and Mark once again. Thanks for your time. How are you?
Leave it to a Monday to screw up the phones once again around these parts because, well,
normally they'd get tested beforehand. But hopefully we can reconnect with Steve here coming up momentarily. So Steve, who friends with the late Dave Wills, and Steve, who's been a part of Ray's broadcasts before. So it's another reason why we wanted Steve on. Okay, not just to talk about the Rays, but also to talk about the passing of longtime Rays radio man Dave Wills yesterday, suddenly, shockingly, at the age of 58. And hopefully we can catch back up with Steve momentarily. But, Mark, we talked about the importance, and we've done it before, the importance of broadcasters. And for the most part, the media has never been less regarded than it is right now. I mean, just, we've never been a bigger piece of toe jam than we are right now. And while the national rating show, it doesn't matter if Joe Buck, Jim Nantz, Mike Tirico's broadcasting the game, people are either going to watch or they're not going to watch. But we've always felt it's very different when it's your local team. Like, we felt the Marlins, that Jeter's biggest mistake was getting rid of Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton as his television broadcast group.
And when you're the Rays, you're a team that's void of stars, that they're a team that promotes from within. They have a certain way they do business. It's been very effective, but it's not the most fan-friendly team where it's household names.
Right.
Even more so where the broadcasters fill in a huge void of a team that lacks star power.
And Dwayne Statz and Brian Anderson have had an on-air chemistry for over a decade now on television. The Rays TV broadcasts do terrific numbers. But also Dave Wills and Andy Fried, had a connection. And they had it right away, too. I mean, Andy released a statement yesterday at the passing of his good friend in which he said, I don't know what it was, but it really did seem like we were brothers. Okay, we got along that well, that quickly. And they had a good time also. They were pros. They always gave you the nuts and bolts that, you and I maybe are more into than others because we've actually been minor league broadcasters. But, but they were fun too. And I think we can hear Steve Carney joining us. Steve, it's David and Mark. Can you hear us?
Third time's always the charm. Thanks, guys.
Follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. Well, we were just talking about the passing of your friend, Dave Wills, and I know you've been a part of the Rays broadcast before. Just first off, our condolences, but also just, reflect on a guy who, along with Andy Fried, I mean, that radio tandem has made a real, contribution to that franchise.
Yeah, you got to remember when they started in 2005, guys, the Rays were, how do I put this gently? Horrible as a franchise on the field, but they really made it appointment listening. They were entertaining, and they were able to bring out the good points in a team that wasn't very good and hide a lot of the bad points. I remember just being, fascinated with how they were able to take chicken, and turn it into chicken salad. It's just an incredible accomplishment that they were able to do. And a large part of that was Dave's gregarious nature. He was, he could be loud, he could be boisterous, but he was very insightful and really, really funny on the air. And he really made a lasting impact on a team that, for fans that were dealing with a team that wasn't very good, that just a couple of years later got very, very good.
But even when they got good, Steve, they've always lacked star power. They do things a different way. So I would think for a team like the Rays, it's even more important to have the broadcast duo that they had.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody talks about consistency, and when you can't have the consistency on the field, sometimes the consistency comes from other places. It's why, throughout the early parts of the Rays' success, when you weren't having the same guys on the field, apart from, let's say, Evan Longoria, the people that you gravitated towards were guys like Joe Madden. And then when Joe left and Kevin Cash took over, still the same thing has happened. Everybody gravitated towards Dave and Andy because they were the one consistent piece that you knew you were going to have every single night.
Dave Wills passing away suddenly yesterday at the age of 58. And, Steve, the other thing, as somebody who's in this business and you've been a part of the Rays broadcast before, is, some tandems hit it off. Like Mark and I have chemistry. Okay. We don't have Dave Wills, Andy Fried chemistry. I mean, Andy released a statement yesterday in which he just said, from day one, it just seemed like we were brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and sometimes tandems fake it. There are duos out there that don't like each other much. And, when they're not on the air, you won't see them talking to each other at all. And that was not the case with Dave and Andy. They were thick as thieves, especially during the season. There were many, many years where, the three of us were spending pretty much every waking hour and every working hour together, trying to make the best Rays broadcast possible. And so I consider myself extremely fortunate to have had those many, many years together with those guys, and they're moments that I will always cherish.
I know it's obvious. These are going to be really big shoes to fill. I mean, the Rays radio numbers have been, we've talked about this before, Steve, the Rays radio and television numbers have been sensational. While it's not always great at the gate, people watch and people listen. This is going to be a tall task for the Rays to get this right of whoever.
Absolutely. And this is something that I don't think the team was expecting to have to do right now. I mean, you think about it, a couple of years ago, The Athletic did a survey of the most popular radio broadcasters in Major League Baseball. And in the American League, Dave and Andy were number one. They were the best team radio duo in the American League, number 2 overall in Major League Baseball. It's going to be very, very difficult. And I don't know what the team is planning on doing. I would assume that Neil Solondz will be a big part of things moving forward. But, Neil knows, having been there as long as he has. I mean, you think about it, he's been there now. I believe this is Neil's 11th season as a broadcaster with the Rays. Whoever ends up being the permanent replacement, and I use that term kind of loosely for Dave Wills, because let's face it, nobody can replace Dave Wills, and hopefully whoever does end up sitting in that seat to the left of Andy Fried doesn't try to replace Dave.
He's Steve Carney, stpete9.com, stpete9.com. Also hosts Under the Orange Roof podcast. Follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Carney, Carney. All right, if we can for a moment, the team. It's funny. It was just a couple years ago in which they had like one starter and 3 openers. And now, if Glasnow can ever stay healthy, they've got 5 starters, don't they? Are they even going to need an opener?
Yeah, this year I would say the opener concept may be going the way of the flightless dodo bird, because not only do the Rays have 5 starters, the Rays really have 7 or 8 starters that they can look at this year. Even with Glasnow out, you've got the 4 guys that were planning to be in the rotation around him: McClanahan, Rasmussen, Eflin, and Springs. Plus, you have Yanni Chirinos and Josh Fleming and Luis Patino. Oh, yeah, and Taj Bradley, their top pitching prospect. He's a starter as well. So, really, you're looking at 8, maybe even 9 guys that could start games for this team and not be an opener.
That's just strange news altogether with the Rays. How are they going to have the run support to keep up with the Blue Jays and the Yankees?
That's the major question, and that's the question that we have been asking Eric Neander, the president of baseball operations, and Peter Bendix, the general manager, since they didn't really make a splash and sign a big free agent back during the off season. I know they were in on a couple of them, but they weren't able to land the deal. It's going to end up coming internally. They're hoping that having a full season of Brandon Lau and a full season of Wander Franco are going to be the two biggest pieces that cause them to drop almost 200 runs between 2021 and 2022. They're hoping for full seasons from both of them, and if they can get that, I think they can get back to close to their 2021 levels. But it's going to take all hands on deck approach, that's for sure.
Well, from the spring training that you've experienced thus far with the rule changes, one, your thoughts, but also two, the Rays have been a team that has had pitching, defense, and speed. Do these rule changes actually help the Rays both when they're in the field, and maybe this will help their offense? They can run a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. The pitch clock, I think, has been eye-opening for a lot of fans. I got a chance to see it a little bit during the Florida State League last year, and it really has made a significant difference in the terms of the length of a lot of these games. You look at their game the other day in Tampa against the Yankees. They scored 24 runs. They combined, I should say, for 24 runs on 29 hits, and that game still took less than 3 hours to play. So that's a very, very good sign for the fact that these games are going to be moving it along at a much quicker pace than they had in years past. So that, I think, is a good thing. And I talking to Kevin Cash yesterday about it. I think that they have enough guys that work quickly already that you're going to be able to see them try and get into the heads of some hitters' timings, kind of like you saw with Max Scherzer and the way that he's been trying to manipulate the pitch clock to try and mess with hitters' timing. The other thing is that you are going to see more running or throughout the league, and I think that the Rays, you're right, do have the right number of guys that can go out there and steal maybe even as many as 30 or 35 bags. I think Randy Arozarena is going to be running a lot. I think Wander Franco is going to be running a lot. You're going to, if Vidal Brujan makes the team, he's going to be running a lot because those are three very, very quick guys. And I think that you could see them really push the issue, much like the Crawford-Upton days back in the start as we go full circle to those significant Rays teams from the early, or I should say from like 2008 and on.
Once again, Steve, our condolences about the loss of your good friend Dave Wills, and thanks for making time for us today, and hopefully we can do this again before opening day.
Oh, I look forward to it, guys. Thank you so much.
Steve Carney, stpete9.com, stpete9.com. Also, Under the Orange Roof is his podcast, Rays Baseball, and a few other things. Follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Carney, Carney.
I think it's a great point you make that they've got some team speed. They're not the best hitting team out there. They may have to take advantage of the new rules and see if they're moving, a lot of hit and run, see if they're stealing bases, see what they can do to produce some offense that way.
They're obviously a playoff contender. I mean, they made the playoffs last year. They've made the playoffs more times than not here lately. Do you view them as a legit, they can win the AL East team? Or do you just view them as, they're a wild card team?
They're a wild card team to me.
It's funny. I actually view them as, I wish they had one more bat. Man, do I wish they had one more bat, but I don't know. You know my thoughts on the Yankees. Judge hit 412 homers, and they played 500 baseball the last half of the season last year, and basically 500 baseball in the playoffs too. So I actually think the AL East is in play. I think the Rays are legit contenders for the East. Henry Yoho, we'll talk about the Lightning next.
Trail. Locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Pretty nice.
So Reggie Miller made the decision himself to give up the tournament, and it's Stan Van Gundy. Not Jeff Van Gundy. Because I wondered how that was going to work, because Jeff's an ABC ESPN employee. Stan's a Turner guy, so that makes sense. That's just trading out one Turner guy for another. Stan could be a little too honest for the college game. Stan will go, this is just bad basketball, Jim. Breakfast for dinner.
No, I don't. I hate it. In fact, when I was a child, my mom decided was doing pancakes for dinner. I shut all the drapes in the house because I was embarrassed that we were having breakfast for dinner.
That must have been fantastic. I can do breakfast for lunch. I can eat, lunch, brunch. I can late morning, midday. Like, how about this? When you go to a brunch, do you ever have like your breakfast plate and your lunch plate?
Yeah, in order. I have my breakfast first, and I go and get lunch.
Yeah.
I don't have my lunch plate and then go get breakfast. You don't do it backwards. You don't have a piece of prime rib and say, you know what I need now is eggs Benedict.
But
we can save this for 8:21 if you'd like.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark is showing his tough as woodpecker lip side right now.
God, I wish this was the last hour of this show.
Yeah, no kidding. So that is something I want everybody to try to work into their conversation at some point this week. Look at somebody, preferably that's someone in your life, and go, man, getting along with you is as tough as woodpecker lips. And just see how they react.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 3 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Henry Yoho, boltsbythebay.com to join us coming up momentarily, talking about the Lightning. And man, oh man, what is going on there? Losers of a handful in a row. Just maybe the worst weekend of hockey they've played in, I don't know, 15 years maybe? Henry's kind enough to join us right now. Fansided's boltsbythebay.com, boltsbythebay.com. Follow the site on Twitter at boltsbythebay. Henry, it's David and Mark once again. What in the wide world of sports is going on?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, like you mentioned, it's been a difficult last week or so coming out of the trade deadline. This is probably the toughest stretch that this team has had over the last 2 or 3 years. It doesn't seem like they've been able to do anything right. Connecting passes, the power play, penalty kill. It doesn't seem like anything's really going their way right now. So it's definitely a challenging stretch that they're going through right now for sure.
Well, how surprised were you by yesterday? They make the move. Cooper makes a move. He benches the top line after they played lousy for 2 periods against the Sabres, and they end up coming back. They play hard. They don't win, but they play a good third. That's usually the recipe to get a good Sunday performance or a next day performance. They got whooped by Carolina. I mean, they got just housed. They had 4 shots through 2 periods. How do you explain what happened through the first 2 periods yesterday?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Saturday in Buffalo, that was a huge moment, I think, over the course of the season. I think it would be definitely a moment that we look back on for better or worse, for where this team ends up going down the road. And I think that you could have totally expected that the Lightning would have come out with a much better effort in yesterday's game, following, their 3 biggest star forwards, riding the bench for the final period of the day before. But yesterday, honestly, I really couldn't explain really what went on yesterday. I mean, for one, it's challenging playing back-to-back games, of course, in the NHL, especially 2 afternoon games in a row. It's just something different. And Carolina's a great team. They're probably the most difficult team to play against, especially defensively. The way that they defend as a group is a huge challenge. But of course, as a team that you're going to have to play in the playoffs if you want to make a run the whole way. But it was a great challenge that they had at hand, and they certainly weren't up to it yet at that point. So I think that I think everyone might have been a little bit shaken up at that point, following the way things had gone the day before. And I think it's really just a mental thing at this point with this group. Just I think that there's maybe just a lack of confidence right now at the moment based on the way things have been going.
Follow Henry on Twitter at Henry Yoho, YOHO, boltsbythebay.com, boltsbythebay.com. Well, they play tomorrow night at home against Philly.
Yeah.
Henry, we haven't said this much for a long, long time, but it kind of feels like the Lightning really need to win a regular season game tomorrow night. I mean, 5 in a row for a team this talented. I understand they played a lot of hockey the last 3 years and they could be bored at times, but come on, Henry, when your best players get benched so publicly and then you follow it up with that kind of performance, that's like the locker room almost saying to the head coach, yeah, do me a favor, shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
You just do what you got to do. We'll do what we got to do. But, Henry, this is the first time in a long time in which we actually raise a question about the locker room, isn't it?
Yeah, like you mentioned, one thing that's gone through my mind is like how you mentioned, maybe sometimes they'll kind of go into cruise control in the regular season based on, how many late playoff runs that they've had and so many more meaningful games. But I agree. I think tomorrow is definitely an important game, just for this group. Mentally, Philadelphia's coming in here. They haven't had a very good season. It's definitely a game where they can sort of get back on track and start feeling good about where they're at right now. And I think if they do struggle and they don't win, I think that the questions, for obvious reasons, will start to raise even more about where this team's at right now. But I think that they should be up to the challenge. They're such a talented group, and I do believe that they can get this thing straightened out at some point. But if things don't go well tomorrow, I think that the questions will certainly will heat up, and I think deservedly so.
Yeah, if they don't win tomorrow, doesn't it look like the benching of the star players backfired, Henry? Quite frankly, there's no other way to look at this. If they can't win tomorrow, when you come out and you bench your best players, they lose 6-0, and you get the lowly Philadelphia Flyers. If they don't win, it looks like Cooper's benching's backfired.
Yeah, for sure. Like in the short term, it definitely looks like that big move didn't really pay off. At this point, I guess down the road, it could still be sort of a turning point moment. But if things don't get straightened out now, the questions will keep coming. And Philadelphia, they present a challenging team, like you mentioned. They haven't been a very good team this year, but there's still guys on that team that are playing hard, playing for their careers. So it'll be still a different sort of challenge. And Philadelphia came in here and they won against the Lightning on opening night, so it'll still be a great challenge. I think it'll be a time where the Lightning really have to sort of look inward and try to just get their confidence back at a team that they should certainly beat at home. And they've been pretty great at home, this season for the most part. And they've got, four games in a row here at home, and it's a great chance to sort of right the ship here.
Philly, Vegas, Chicago, Winnipeg, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. As Henry mentioned, all at home. They're 5 points behind the Leafs with 19 games left to try to be the 2 seed and have home ice in that expected first round playoff series. Henry, let's take this last week and a half and put it to the side. Final question. Mm-hmm. Is there an area, we're past the trade deadline now. They made their big move. Is there an area of this team that you look at and you go, they're going to have to get it done, but they're kind of shorthanded here? If so, where is here?
Yeah, I think that most people would probably point at the defense group. They elected to not make a move on deadline day to bring in a defenseman, and essentially, general manager Julien Brisebois betting on the defense group that the team has in place now. I think that their blue line group is a little bit thinner than it's been in past years. And essentially he took the gamble to roll with the guys that they've got now. And, if they end up, they've already recalled Darren Radish from the American Hockey League. He's got into a couple games. And I think that they're betting on, maybe a couple of the guys they have down there to bring in a little bit of extra depth. So, with the salary cap constraints that they were facing and the lack of assets that they had, they weren't able to bring in a defenseman. So I think it's a bit of a gamble rolling with the group that they have, because I think that the defense core is a little bit thinner than it has been in past years.
Henry, thanks for making time for us. We appreciate your time and your insight. All the best going forward. boltsbythebay.com, boltsbythebay.com.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
5 in a row for the Lightning. Awful weekend.
And got
now
hacked yesterday after. I mean, that's like, we pointed out, they play Buffalo. They bench their top line. They make a pretty valiant effort to come back without it. Okay. Usually the way that works is you get a response. And I know it's 2 games in 2 days, and I know that's not easy. But 6 spit to get outshot, 24-4 in the first 2 periods? To not get a shot on goal in the second period in an NHL hockey game. Do you know how hard that is?
It's almost like you have to work at it.
Man, oh man.
It's almost like there was a bet in-house. Hey, let's see if we can play this period and not get a shot on goal. Are you serious? Yeah, let's try it. Well, there's no doubt that they are missing Ryan McDonough. They had to get rid of McDonough for the salary cap reasons, and it was a difficult decision for them. And he accepted a trade to Nashville, but they miss him. I mean, Ryan McDonough was, I believe, their second best defenseman. And he was somebody who could play the heavy minutes, the penalty kill minutes, so that Hedman could play the 5-on-5 and power play minutes. And Mark, I think they miss him. And I definitely think that they will miss him even more in the playoffs. And they have played a staggering amount of hockey in a short period of time.
And yet, with all of this being said, no matter what happens between now and the regular season, and the end of the regular season, the amount of pressure that their first-round opponent has versus the amount of pressure that they will have is staggeringly different. No matter how the regular season ends up, unless somehow, some way they fall to 4th, which is, I mean, they would have to continue at this pace really for the rest of the season and going 2-5-3 in their last 10.
And to give you an idea, they have an 11-point lead over the 4th place team. And the top 3 teams in every division are guaranteed making the playoffs. And 2 plays 3 in the division. And that's Tampa and Toronto. And Toronto hasn't gotten out of the first round since 2004? That's not a joke, by the way. That's a true fact. They've lost 8, 9 consecutive playoff series. And they had a 3-2 lead on the Lightning last year and lost Game 6 in overtime and lost a 1-goal Game 7 at home. So all the pressure in the world on Toronto. And you're right. Tampa will get to play a series, with house money, so to speak. They won't feel that way, maybe. But the pressure on the Leafs will be astounding. But right now, this is fascinating. We have when was the last time when they got swept by Columbus that we questioned Cooper and the team and whether or not there's a disconnect?
Well, I'm just stunned that Cooper benches the top players and they come out and lay an egg the way they did. I just did not see that coming against Carolina. Too big of a game, too important of a game against a good team, and they got housed yesterday.
So tomorrow night at home against the Flyers, who are not a good team, a bottom 10 team in the league. There's no one on the Flyers that is a threat to the Lightning. If they show up and want to play tomorrow, they should win 5-2. No sweat either. So
in fact, Tampa should be in the minus 320 range tomorrow for that game, no matter who they're playing in goal tomorrow night.
4-game homestand: Philly, Vegas, Chicago, Winnipeg. What do you say? Got to take at least 3 of them? Got to get minimum 6 points, maybe 7 out of this homestand?
I'd be fine with 5 the way they've been playing. Give me 2-1-1 right now. Miller and Moulton. When we come back, can you eat breakfast for dinner? We discuss the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, unfortunately, I don't do UFC. I don't follow it. Not into it. We don't do UFC and boxing in the starting five.
It was an unbelievable fight, though.
Well, first off, how could it be unbelievable? It lasted 2 minutes.
Right. But this man hadn't fought in over 3 years and made the number one fighter in the world, quote unquote, look like a rookie. And he was French, so of course he surrendered.
Ah, look at you. Yeah, rough tough. We were, especially the first 2 games because they were so close, back and forth. Yeah, getting key hits and key outs late. I just think it's great because it if they're a bubble team, that it should really help them. Man.
Eastern time, Yolo 68 tomorrow. We're giving you conference tournament predictions. What total?
Oh, John Fanta?
Yeah, I just saw that you like that. We've been efforting him lately.
I've had trouble getting a hold of him.
Dang.
15 seconds.
Netflix full swing having a second season.
They're filming it as we speak. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. First Monday of the month. Hope you had a good weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. You miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com, download what you've missed. Like we just talked, a little Rays and a little Lightning. Steve Carney talking Rays, Henry Yoho talking a little Lightning. The tragic passing of longtime Rays broadcaster Dave Wills yesterday morning. And then also a quick little Rays preview, the new rule changes and what have you. And then the Lightning are in disarray. I mean, it's a regular season. Don't know how important it is, but it's interesting nonetheless. They haven't been in disarray in a while. So, floridasportsnetwork.com. Download what you missed.
All right. This started in the Twitch chat room during one of the commercial breaks, and I think you may have brought it up, David, in asking about breakfast for dinner. Can you eat breakfast for dinner?
Right. That was a question that was asked of us.
I was traumatized as a child by my mother trying to pull off this pancake dinner thing one evening of my youth. I was so scared that the neighbors would see us and make fun of us that I closed all the blinds in the house to make sure no one could see in while my mother made breakfast for dinner.
You were that horrified?
Horrified. You don't eat breakfast for dinner.
Wow. How old were you, by the way? 8, 10?
9, 10, somewhere in there.
Okay. Wow. The thought of having breakfast for dinner was horrifying. I have to admit, so your parents' divorce didn't traumatize you, but mom trying to have pancakes for dinner, that traumatized you.
Well, they didn't get divorced until I was in my 20s, so it wasn't that traumatic. I was wishing for it many years before that. Like, did you guys, if you're keeping this thing together for me, can I let you both know you're better apart than you are together?
It's funny how everybody knows that before the actual people in the relationship.
It really is.
Spoken from two guys who know. Anyway.
But I feel, I could put this up as a poll question, and I feel like I'm going to get killed because people are all into breakfast for dinner. Like when you go to a brunch place, if you go to a brunch buffet, and they have all your breakfast items, but they have like the prime rib. You don't get the prime rib first and go back and go, you know what, I wanted some eggs. You start with your breakfast and you move on to the meal portion of the day, the big food.
Can you possibly, just possibly, if you start off with lunch though, and can you go back and have a breakfast item or two, okay, more like sides, and grab them after the fact?
Well, if one of them's bacon, because there's never a bad time for bacon.
See? Okay. Can you, though, just see? I'm a sucker for anything you could put syrup on. So after the fact, some people like a dessert for sweetness. I could be enticed with a French toast or a waffle.
For dessert?
Yes. That
It's really
instead of,
I mean, that is pathetic and really impressive all at the same time right there. I'm really happy that you're my friend when I hear things like that.
and so I understand the grief I would get if we were sitting at the same table, and I have already eaten in most people's estimation. And then I would go up and most people would be going, oh, he's going to come back with a little ice cream or a little sherbet. Actually, what I'm going to come back with is 3/4 of a plate of something that has syrup on it.
See, I'd like to tell you I have a problem with this, but because of the whole chicken and waffles thing,
right?
That's thrown a wrench in it because it's the only time that I can, advocate for syrup after lunch is with chicken and waffles. So I can't completely take it away from you because I've had the chicken and waffle dish later in the day.
Arch makes a very good point in our Twitch chat room. Many of us do not have a problem having dinner for breakfast. Now, usually it's leftovers. Usually it's the next day. But, whether it's pizza, Mark, in my case, anything not nailed down, anything that could easily be opened. All right. Boom. There it is. It's done. What'd you have for breakfast? I had the leftover, whatever. I don't know. As George Carlin once famously said, it's meat cake. It's good.
David, there's no doubt because I made pot roast yesterday. I could get home from the show and just open the leftover pot roast and start eating it cold.
There you go.
No doubt about doing dinner and you and I are both advocates of just open the container and eat it cold. We're not messing around with this whole warming it up thing.
But if at 5:00 I put a big thing of waffles in front of you, okay, and your own maple syrup, boom, there you go. And you looked at me like, what the? And I'm like, oh, that's it, man. You had pot roast at 10:30 in the morning. You can have waffles at 5.
You can. I just frown upon breakfast for dinner. I'd have to shut all the drapes. I'd have to shut the house down. It's awfully late for syrup. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
21,000's the number.
It could have been our poll question today, but we'll just do it. What do you say? Can you do breakfast for dinner? See, I'm from Jersey. The whole diner thing. We can do breakfast at pretty much any damn time.
But 3 a.m. is a breakfast time.
Yes, that doesn't count. That's way beyond dinner. But, sometimes, there's only room at the counter. You sit at the counter. What do you want? I don't know. What can you make me up fast? It's like, well, I could do a patty melt or we could do eggs. Oh, I didn't have eggs today.
Felipe, can you do breakfast for dinner?
It depends. It's kind of gross. I could have like a bagel sandwich if you want to call that breakfast. You can have bacon.
I don't know. I guess technically it would qualify, but not really.
Kind of gross did come out there.
He did. Right.
He was wishy-washy once again with his answer, but he gave us enough in the answer that we can deduct that he really doesn't like breakfast for dinner.
I'd rather have dinner for breakfast.
See? I think, quite frankly, a lot of us are biased. Okay? I think we're prejudiced, quite frankly, against breakfast.
Although one time I had dinner for breakfast on this show and I was out. Remember when I had that chicken and pasta and I smelled up the whole place?
Oh, yes.
We do.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
But I think breakfast is getting a bad rap here. I really do. I think we're biased against breakfast. This is like an East Coast bias. All right. This is like Syracuse always getting an at-large here. I think that there's an anti-breakfast bias here.
And it's only coming from Felipe and I, because the Twitch audience, the text audience, and you are all for breakfast for dinner.
Listen, there's never a bad time to eat. Okay, I just think that this is something that has been programmed into us. If we took it away and just said you can eat whatever, whenever, okay. All right, that's fine. Oh, no. It's the morning. You must have eggs or cereal. And then in the middle of the day, you can have something that involves lunch meat and bread. And then at night, it must be something in which it is meat or fish or chicken, and then potatoes and a vegetable. What?
You seem to have this. You got it right.
I don't abide there. I don't abide by it.
Lunch, dinner.
Whatever, please. Morning, noon, and evening. That's what it is.
Marco in the Twitch chat's convincing me, though, because he said hash browns. Never a bad time for a hash brown.
Yeah, there is. Dinner. I want a baked potato. I want some sour cream. I want some butter. I'd like some chives on that thing. You want to put bacon on there to have a breakfast food on there, go right ahead. But I don't need my hash browns for breakfast. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It is insane how much Dan Orlovsky looks like Dennis from It's Always Sunny. They are brothers. Breakfast burgers? Just put a hash brown in that. Putting a hash brown in my burgers was a life-changing experience.
Putting a hash brown, you
A cheeseburger, yes.
A hash brown it's not a. I mean, what do you get? McDonald's hash browns here?
Yes.
Okay.
Get a McDonald's
Oh,
like
good.
that kind of hash brown.
It's not even a hash brown.
What is it?
It's processed crap.
Okay. A hash brown of that design inside of a burger. Very good. And yes, it is processed garbage, but it's good processed garbage. Yeah, me too. Dead streak. Dead streak. Dead streak. Is there like a backstory with your name? Because I never know how to pronounce it. And like, doesn't matter that much just because it's a Twitch username. But I'm curious. When was the last time I cooked a dinner? Ooh.
2022.
I mean, I made like a. That's not cooking. Like I made pasta with meatballs. Like 2 nights ago. And then I made rice with shrimp. So I made like a homemade shrimp fried rice. Frozen meatballs do not count yet. Exactly. I just got the ones from Costco. You know, sometimes Costco they get me. Those free samples. I try to make them not get me, but sometimes they get me. I'm like, all right, you win. Which aisle? "15 seconds. The Denver Nuggets are shooting 51% from the field as a team.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin, to join us on the show tomorrow, at the very least. At the very least. Big day tomorrow in the NFL. It's the last day that you can tag somebody. So the Giants going to get a contract worked out with either or both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Lamar Jackson, do the Ravens just simply put the tag on him and, okay, let the games begin?
What do you do if you're the Giants?
Okay, this is going to shock a lot of people. I'm prepared to let Daniel Jones walk. I am. If Daniel Jones is a free agent, you tell me the team in the offer. Do you think Carolina, New Orleans, let's go right down the list? Because you got to remember, there are teams right now that are hell-bent on drafting a quarterback. So if you look at teams in the top 10, you got to figure, well, they're not going to go after Daniel Jones. They're going to draft their quarterback. Okay, so you tell me, and Carolina's picking 9th, by the way. So maybe Carolina thinks the price is going to be too much to get up to where it is we need to get one of the guys we want. So we'll sign a Derek Carr, a Daniel Jones. You tell me the offer Daniel Jones is going to get.
I've thought all along it was a 3 for 100 type of guy. I don't think he's worth more than that. And he thinks he's worth 4 for 160.
Or 180. I mean, now listen, it's negotiations. And if you think you've got the leverage, and by the way, the Giants gave you the leverage in a sense because they didn't pick up your 5th-year option. I mean, they could have had him for 22, 23 million this year. But last year they went, we ain't picking up our 5th-year option on him. We don't even know if this guy can play. Turns out, he can play a little bit. By the way, quick trivia question, Mark. How many touchdown passes did Daniel Jones throw this year? 15.
I was going to guess 19, and I would have been high. That was 15. The number in my head, and I'm like, that can't be it. Then I had to go higher than that, and it still wasn't there.
Now, did he arguably have the worst wide receiving core in the league? I think he did. But if I'm the Giants, I'm not going to say this publicly, and I'm not going to say it to him in negotiations, but I'm looking around going, let me get this straight. So we put Dable around him, who was instrumental in helping Josh Allen become Josh Allen. We put Kafka at an offensive coordinator around him, who was Mahomes' quarterback coach for over 3 years, okay, who Mahomes said really good things about. And they put Dable's system into place, in which we all have seen in numerous spots, by the way, how effective that's been. So he finally gets some coaching and he gets a system. I'm sorry. I'm willing to play hardball with Daniel Jones. I'm willing to lose him. I'm willing to go Tyrod Taylor, Mitchell Trubisky next year. See, I'm looking at the Giants' big picture if I'm running the Giants. The Giants are not close. I don't care that they made the playoffs and they won a playoff game. With the difference from where the Giants are to where the Eagles are, minimum 2 years. Minimum. I mean, I can go through the list that the Giants do not have a wide receiving core. The inside of their offensive line's terrible. No depth at defensive tackle. Not a proven pass rusher. One good cornerback on the roster. Their inside linebackers are the worst in the league. I got issues. I am not going to let a quarterback that I think is, I guess he could be pretty good.
So instead of walking, would you slap the transition tag on him there for the lower money? And if someone wants him and negotiate with him, you could have the opportunity to walk away and take a couple of first-round picks.
Yeah, I think I would. Or a first and a third, something like that. Yeah, absolutely. See, I'm sorry, and I know what the Giants are going to do. When they don't work something out in the next 30 hours, they're going to tag them, and they're going to pay him $32, $33 million for next year, and both sides are going to be unhappy. And that's probably what I should do if I'm running the Giants, Mark, and then basically say, well, prove it to me again.
What do you do with Barkley then? I mean, because that's the other part of this, is that you only got one tag.
Right. Okay. You're not going to like this. I'm actually tagging Julian Love, their safety. I really am. I am willing to roll the dice with Jones and Barkley. I'm tagging Julian Love. I mean, that I'm looking at them totally different than everybody else. It's kind of like the Tampa Bay Bucks. Okay. I'm willing to tear it down right now. Let me ask you a question. All right. You paying Devin White? Yes or no? Because if you're going to pay him, you got to pay him now. You sign him to the extension now, because otherwise he's a free agent at the end of the year. This is Roquan Smith all over again. All right, the Bears decided they weren't paying him, so they traded him. Let Baltimore pay him. I mean, same deal. Mike Evans, we talked about this. I love Mike Evans. I want to give the 5-minute presentation for Mike Evans in the Hall of Fame. That's how much I love Mike Evans. Okay, I'm trading Mike Evans if I'm Tampa Bay. I'm trading Devin White. All right. I mean, I'm tearing this sucker down. We're below 500 and we're 55 million over the cap.
It's time to pay the piper in Tampa. It really is. You could look at Tampa, and we've talked about this a few times. Can they pull off what the Eagles did? And be able to take one bad year and be able to essentially on the fly turn this around in one season.
Also, why keep all these guys together for another year? You don't have a quarterback. I mean, you're not going to be any good this year. I mean, seriously. And even if you manage to win the worst division in football, the exact same thing's going to happen. You're going to host a playoff game, and somebody's going to come in there and destroy you. I mean, if I'm Tampa, I'm willing to look at this apparently totally differently than how they're willing to look at it.
Because all they can see is it's a bad division that we can win. We're back in the playoffs. And they know the other side of this from a business side, David, they know when they tank, there's 30,000 empty seats in that place. Quickly. Yeah. And don't think that doesn't factor into the equation.
It does. It does. They don't have that issue in New Jersey. Now, I understand, if you let your guy walk, now you don't even have a guy that good. Never mind, we can debate whether or not you can win anything with that guy. And once again, Mark, what side are you on with Daniel Jones? Are you thinking, well, he finally got some competent coaching and look at what he brings to the table? He's accurate. He's athletic. This is actually the new style of quarterback that you want.
David, I'd probably tag him and bring him back if I couldn't sign him, because the point that you make, their receiving core was god-awful.
Yeah, not good.
And there were enough flashes there with bad receivers that I would like to take a chance and maybe surround this guy with a couple of good players and see what happens and see if Daboll's system can turn him into the next Josh Allen.
And as for Saquon Barkley, reportedly the Giants offered him like 4 for $50. 12 and a half a year. McCaffrey's making 16, Henry's making 15. He said no. Huh, okay.
Good luck.
And the other thing that I'm taking into account here is that I don't think we're a championship contender for 2 more years. So now when I re-sign Barkley, he's played 7 years in the league entering the 2025 season, when now I think we're ready to compete for a championship.
I'd have no problem parting ways with Barkley, particularly this year when I know I can get a running back that can probably start maybe on day 3 of the draft.
Now, letting the quarterback walk's a totally different animal, though.
I couldn't do it. I'm not prepared to make the move you're making. If the Giants are, we know everything we need to know about Daniel Jones. But I can't do that. I thought there was enough improvement this year that I want to keep him around. I would rather not see the tag. And 4 years where you only got to guarantee 3, I'm fine making that move.
Okay. So you're okay, because the thought is the cheapest you're going to get Daniel Jones for is very high 30s. So that's like 4 for 150 is 37 and a half. So you're probably going to have to even go 4 for 152. And you're going to have to guarantee probably the first 3 years. So you're guaranteeing $110+ million. Daniel Jones. Now, granted, I mean, Tyrod Taylor's your backup, and we all know the other quarterbacks that are out there that you're, going to sign to either compete with Tyrod Taylor or what have you. But I do think if you're the GM of the Giants and the coach of the Giants, the coach who just won Coach of the Year in some places, you now have some cred. You can call on it. You can take a step backwards here and do what's in the best long-term interests of the organization. Remember in Buffalo, where one guy was offense coordinator and the other guy was assistant GM. They make the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor and blow that team up because they knew this team ain't doing anything. This is about as good as we could do. You look at the Giants. You think they can do any better than what they did last year? Hell no. Hell no. This is the other thing, Mark. You and I are big into this stat. This is a Phil Steele stat, the close game stat. It's really difficult to go back-to-back years with a gaudy close games record. Take a look at the Giants' close games numbers from last year. Gaudy. You think they're winning all those close games a year later? They need to dramatically upgrade that roster just to get back to what they did last year, in my opinion.
But the tag deadline coming. Wanted to get into you a little bit, David. I know you follow the Giants closer than most of us, so they have big decisions to make when it comes to their quarterback, their running back, and you even brought up the safety that all have to get signed.
Now, no one thinks they're going to tag the safety. Honestly, I'd get laughed. They would make so much fun of me on Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday in New York if I was running the Giants because I tagged Julian Love. Oh, my goodness. They'd want me gone. I was a finalist for Executive of the Year. They'd want me fired.
Unless, of course, you sign the quarterback and the running back between now and tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're signing the running back. I think they will get the quarterback signed one way or another. If anything, it's going to be, if not the franchise tag.
But then the whole Lamar Jackson game is going to start tomorrow afternoon. Or at least that's what we're led to believe. He'll get tagged, and then we'll see if somebody calls the Ravens and makes him an offer they can't refuse.
Well, Lamar, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Because he may sit. I don't think it would be smart, but I think there is the possibility of this going really south when he's tagged.
And if he sits and he misses even a game, is he basically done? Or can you come back from that?
Trying to find someone who has.
See, I think the locker room would welcome him back because guys know if he's the best we got, it's business. Good for him. But the fan base, that's a different story. So, but you tell me what you think. Like, do you think somebody will make the offer that they'd have to make to pry Lamar away from Baltimore? Yes or no? I don't.
I don't either.
Because the other part of that is you then have to pay him what he wants, which is a fully guaranteed contract. I don't think a team is willing to do that. Because once you do it for a second quarterback, the game has been changed. Now all quarterback contracts become guaranteed.
And there's a lot of pressure coming from the league to make sure that doesn't happen.
But just like if Daniel Jones hit the market, I mean, the Jets, believe it or not, I actually think it might be the Jets. Like apparently the Saints are begging Carr to sign. And for whatever reason, he's holding out. He's waiting to see about this Aaron Rodgers Jets thing. Schefter, by the way, reported over the weekend. It's either retirement or the Jets for Rodgers is what he's hearing. Can't wait for that saga to end, huh?
And it won't end anytime soon because it's easier for them with the dead cap money to trade him after June 1st. So I don't think any of this happens as quickly as people would want it to happen.
So anyway, that's tomorrow.
Miller and Moulton, Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte. We thank you so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning. The bonus hour in the 239 is next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
On to Abu Dhabi. Where the hell you been this weekend?
By the way, you know you'll have to sit here for this Twitch thing in the other seat. It's the only computer that works for us.
Yeah, sure.
Just to let you know.
Whatever I got to do. Leave me any instructions you'd like. I need them all.
Yeah, it's Felipe come in, set it up for David.
Well, but also with the, chat room there, the text line, and,
Coming Wednesday after the show?
Yeah. Have a big day Thursday. Got a lot of stuff to do. Well, Logic Man, listen, I would play hardball with Jones. I would just be like, dude, fine. If I got to tag you, I got to tag you. You're not going to be happy, but neither are we, because this is now eating up more than we wanted to eat up on this year's cap. So your wide receiving core might not be much better, dude. Just letting you know.
Apparently, there's a ABC News put out a tweet about the Georgia Parliament having some sort of brawl going on. 3-year Letterman retweeted it, said, "This type of intensity is why we won back-to-back national championships."
That's funny.
It's really funny.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, on this first Monday of March. Thanks so much for being with us. Month is already off to a tremendous start. Excellent golf tournament over the weekend. Bay Hill. How about that leaderboard? Even though it was Kurt Kitayama who ended up on top of it with all the top 10 players right behind him, seemingly. The madness has been glorious. Glorious for 10 days now. It's just been remarkable. All right. Half of the Big Ten is apparently on the bubble, yet apparently they're all getting in. I don't understand it. Big Ten's what, 9 teams? Everybody we look at is the Big Ten getting 9 teams.
9 right now.
I mean, come on.
9 right now with Wisconsin and Penn State in the last 4 in column, Rutgers in the first 4 out column, and Michigan in the next 4 out.
Let me get this straight. The Big 12 is the best conference this year, right?
It is.
SEC second, Big East third. I mean, I'm sorry. To me, the Big Ten is no better than the 4th best conference. No better than the 4th best conference this year. We're putting over half that conference in the tournament. Come on.
Putting up almost 3/4 of the damn thing in, David.
It could be 9 in and 2 on the bubble. Man, come on. Draw the line. I will say it's fascinating. North Carolina's preseason number 1. Most people think they have to get to at least the ACC title game. At least. Some think they have to win the conference tournament to get in. Preseason number 1. Lost in the title game last year. Where was Michigan? Preseason top 5?
I thought 7, but you're...
Okay. Right. And right now, Michigan's not in. Nobody has Michigan in. It's just a matter of where they are on the bubble.
They'd have got it done in overtime yesterday, they'd be in.
It'd be really close. I mean, because, Mark, they would have had that really impressive 18-13 record heading into the Big Ten tournament instead of 17-14. At some point, when you're only beating up on each other, do you have to come to the conclusion that maybe we're all not that good and we're giving each other too much credit for our wins against each other? I'm just saying.
I was asked the question yesterday, is the Big Ten just beating up on one another, or are they a bad conference? My answer to that was yes.
I mean, and I know nobody watches this conference and nobody cares, but Arizona State's the 4th best team in the Pac-12. They're out. They're apparently on the wrong side of the bubble. So you mean to tell me the Big Ten should get 9 and the Pac-12 should only get 3? I mean, really? Really? So, people talk about East Coast bias. Hey, the power, in many ways, in certain sports, the power is with the SEC. In basketball, it's still with the Big Ten.
It is with the Big Ten. And the Pac-12, which, by the way, talk of the Big 12 invading it again, Utah, Colorado, and the Arizona schools being mentioned as being poached by the Big 12 over the weekend. And they might as well poach them, because the fact of the matter is the conference is dead. USC, UCLA are going to the Big Ten. And I know, David, there's talk of the San Diego States and UNLV, and there's all these schools that they can replace it. Great. It's the Mountain West now. I mean, we've watched the Conference of Champions, as Mr. Walton would say, diminish to the Conference of Nothing in a year's time.
Here's my question. If the Big 12 is actually the conference that is able to raid the Pac-12 first and end it, if you're the Big 10, so do you then only take 2?
I've only advocated taking 2. Like, I get the Stanford academic part of it.
Right.
And anybody would love to have them in.
Well, it
But
also 6 teams out west as opposed to 4. So and 4 California schools and then Oregon, Washington. So, if you're the Big 10 and you're going to expand this way, you give USC, UCLA some partners. Okay. Also, there's talk about, think of it, not to get too nitty gritty here, but, from a recruiting standpoint, is this going to help or hurt USC, UCLA going to the Big 10? I could argue it's going to hurt.
Look, to me, nothing hurts USC. What it does to UCLA is another story.
Okay. I'm just wondering, do the California players start looking at USC and UCLA and going, yeah, I have no interest in playing Nebraska. That doesn't interest me. Now, granted, if the Arizona schools and Colorado and Utah are leaving for the Big 12, that might be the best thing that could happen to USC, UCLA also.
That I agree with.
If
but
the whole
I don't,
conference falls apart.
I don't believe USC. Look, if you and I both think if USC is their act together, they're a national brand. They really don't count in the recruiting things. There's the Ohio States, there's the USCs, there's the Alabamas, and now Georgia's in that club. But if they have their act together, I don't see how recruiting would be affected at all for USC. UCLA, that's a totally different story.
The other thought, Mark, is that the Pac-12 is staying together to see what this commissioner can come up with in terms of a media deal. And that the word is, if you can find $30 million a year, if you can find the same amount of money that the Big 12 is guaranteeing its members, which I believe is $31 million. If you can find that, then we can stick this out. It doesn't mean Oregon and Washington don't want to go, but it means that they could live, because then in theory, Mark, what are you? You're T3. You got the Big 2, and then the Big 12 and Pac-12 are on the same financial footing. And then in theory, if you're Arizona State, why go to the Big 12? If you're going to make the same amount of money staying where you are, shouldn't you stay?
And by the way, we say all of this, and the whole time, all I'm thinking about is what Florida State's trying to pull off and trying to do. And if you're the ACC and somehow the Pac-12 gets that done, and now you're clearly 5th until 2036, how can you survive?
And see, the thought is right now that this Pac-12 commissioner, who this is his first TV deal, but that he's not going to be able to find $31 million a year, because apparently there's not a single network who's willing to give him anything. Apparently the networks are out. So the only way would be streaming. And can you put your entire conference, Mark? Your entire conference, can you put on streaming? I mean, we could argue, should it matter? It's kind of like our discussion. Can you have breakfast at dinner? I mean, should it matter? Eating eggs at 8 a.m. or 4 p.m., should it really matter? No, it shouldn't. But in our heads, for a lot of people, it does. I mean, nowadays, with all the cord cutting we've done, and how many of you are not watching a show because it's a streaming service?
It shouldn't matter. I don't know if it does matter. Every day that goes on, it matters less. Because I think, we're talking to our crowd and older. Once you make the switch, it's pretty easy.
Right.
I mean, with these conference tournaments going on and hockey and everything that I'm watching right now, and even, Friday morning or Thursday morning, I left here and went home, started watching Bay Hill on ESPN Plus. I've gotten to where it's habit now to go right to the stream.
Right. And you're okay paying the, what's it, $7.99, $6.99? What is it a
Yeah,
month?
it's like $12.99 with the Disney package, whatever I'm getting there.
Yeah, that's right. You have an 8-year-old. Right. So, but the feeling is, by the way, that the Pac-12 will break up. That there's many more scenarios. The odds are it's going to get blown up. And Power 5 becomes Power 4. With the ACC, ironically, financially, becoming far and away the weakest of the four. And also then the pressure on the ACC, if the Big 12 is going to go to 16 minimum, and the SEC and Big 10 are going to be at 16 in a year, never mind then Oregon, Washington, which could take it to 18. And so then, okay, where do we go? Huh.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
And Florida State trying to drive the train to whatever's next for the ACC right now.
And so the thought is we go from Power 5 to Power 4. The question then becomes, can 4 become 3? Can the ACC be blown up? And is there interest in the other conferences in blowing it up?
There would, if I were running the Big Ten, to me, it wouldn't be worth it. I don't think there's enough money there to blow it up. And I don't think there is for the SEC.
Well, once again, what's the one conference that both networks are in bed together with? The only one, the Big 12. It's the only conference that ESPN and Fox share. SEC is going to be all ESPN in a year. Big 10 beginning this year is Fox, CBS, and NBC. No four-letter network. But they both, and when we look back, Mark, the Big 12 commissioner, who's been on the scene about as long as the new Pac-12 commissioner, he outmaneuvered him. The Pac-12 thought, we'll wait to the end. There's more money if we wait. Big 12 said, we better take what we can get when we can get it, or we're going to be out of business. And he was right. And UCF is a major beneficiary of it.
They'll be making more money in athletics than Florida State in the not too distant future.
A lot more. And you can see why maybe that they've lost their sense of humor in Tallahassee. Just saying.
And why they're saying things like, shouldn't we get the most money in the ACC since we put the most eyeballs on the conference? If you don't want us to blow this up, then maybe you should pay us some more money. Just saying.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, it was a little different world back then. Television money and all. Also, to blow up the ACC, another conference would have to grab you.
No, it just may die its own slow, miserable death.
Yeah, which is the worst case scenario because it may take all their schools down with it.
I mean, imagine 12 more years of that with that kind of money where you are in 2036.
$15 seconds. Yeah, Guillermo. It's right by my house.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. And since this is the local hour, we are taking something that was used to describe the FGCU baseball team and their head coach, Dave Tillett, and we may run with it for the rest of 2023 on this show. And most of you don't pay attention to FGCU baseball. You should. I mean, they're actually, pretty damn good every year. But they went to Tallahassee this weekend. They were already off to the best start in school history at 8-1. And Florida State's ranked 16th in the country. And they beat them Friday and Saturday. So their 1 and 2 starters against Florida State's 1 and 2 starters, they won. Lost on Sunday. But to win a series on the road against a top 20 team, that's really impressive for a little old FGCU. And so after they won on Saturday, there was a college baseball site that sent out a tweet that says, the old adage that a team takes on the personality of their head coach. There's a picture of Dave Tillett from the side, from his right side, standing there in a dugout, arms folded, looking all serious. Well, he's as tough as woodpecker lips. First off, Mark, if you're toe, do you take that as a compliment? How do
No.
you react to that?
No, you probably don't. Probably a lot of things that he would rather have said that he's tough as woodpecker lips.
Well, but, they're talking about his team. They take on the personality of their coach, and their coach is tough as woodpecker lips. So we're going to use that. Last year it was the COO of the Reds who looked at Reds fans right in the face and said, "Where are you going to go?" All right. The year before that, all right.
Are you jerking my bobber?
Are you jerking my bobber? Along with a little dark pit of despair. Okay, we had that we worked in as well. So there you go. So now Miller and Moulton, as tough as woodpecker lips. I'm going to use that on my wife tonight. Okay, because there will be a moment in which either I annoy her or she annoys me. I mean, after all, we are married. And I am just going to look at her and go, getting along with you sometimes is as tough as woodpecker lips.
Well, and I may say that my wife's out of town. I'm in charge. Just me and the daughter. I'm running the show. And the wife's going to come back and she's going to say, "How was it?" And I'm going to say she was as tough as woodpecker lips. But, woodpeckers, like down here, they attack the side, like the soffit and stuff of homes and put big holes
Yes.
and all of that. And I had to come have it fixed at my house.
Right.
They were attacking the house.
Yeah.
One of those companies need to sponsor FGCU baseball.
Totally.
I mean, that's the NIL. That's the natty that we're looking for.
Yes.
With their 12 point or 11.7 scholarships for a 40-man team.
Right.
That's where we need some money because they're the one team. Well, I mean, Coastal Carolina, I know they did a little bit in football, but their baseball team's pretty good. Some of these little smaller schools can get it done in baseball if they want to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, listen, that program is right on the edge of being an NCAA tournament team year in, year out. And that's with no money. Oh, yeah. If there was, you get one of these companies, one of these homemaking companies. Our homes are like FGCU baseball. They're as tough as woodpecker lips. I think you're right. It works better with a classic rock station. It does. Or maybe that edgy rock station,
Yes. 92X, tough as woodpecker lips. Here's some Alice in Chains. All grunge all the time. Tough as woodpecker lip.
The softest thing you'll hear on this station is Disturbed. 92X, tough as woodpecker lips.
That's where I think it works.
But nice little weekend, though, for FGC baseball. They're off to a 10-2 start. Good for them. And who knows? These could be the wins that if they end up needing an at-large bid, maybe these are the wins that get them in. When in doubt, put them over the top. We'll see. But good start for them. Getting some national attention. They may even be ranked later today. For whatever that's worth.
21,000 is the text line. If there's anything you'd like to chime in on the show, 21000, 21000. If you've never texted before, FSN radio is the keyword to get behind the gate.
Speaking of Florida State, though, to just go back for a moment.
Okay.
Think about where Florida State football is going to be preseason ranked this year. They're going to be top 10. Think about, if you really want to go big picture, the significance now of this season for this Florida State football team. The school is beginning to say, I think we want out. And we're the biggest damn thing going in this conference. Imagine, Mark, if the football team can live up to the promise. First weekend of the year, LSU in Orlando. Just so they win it. LSU's going to be preseason top 10. And say Florida State, does what they're supposed to do. Only game they're probably going to be an underdog in is at Clemson. I think it's week 4. What if Florida State, Mark, does what people think they could do? Think about then them standing there first weekend in December. Let's just say they get payback on Clemson and win the ACC title game. Hell, Mark, if they're 12-1 ACC champions, right now, they in the playoff? They're damn close.
Yes, because think about it. If what you're describing means they've beaten Clemson and they've beaten LSU.
And they've beaten the Gators. And we'll see how good they are. Well, just saying. It is an SEC school. So, and then there's Florida State who can look the ACC right in the eyes and say, do what we ask or we are leaving. And if the ACC wants to bluff, think about if Florida State can live up to the potential, Mark. If you're the Big 12 and you're like, oh my goodness, we can get our hands on Florida State. Oh my, what do we have to do?
Can I just ask Florida State fan, if that's the best case scenario out there, if the SEC's not possible, and just work with me, for whatever reason it's not, they're not going to take Florida State and Clemson. They're just not. Not enough money, whatever the case may be. They don't think that opens up the checkbook enough. Would going to the Big 12, in your estimation, be better, worse than the same than being in the ACC? I know it's more money. I get that, David. But I don't think they would look upon being in the same conference as UCF as an upgrade.
Yeah, but they'd be at the top of the conference. That's what they'd say. And they would just think, well, UCF's at the bottom. Whether that's going to be true long term, we'll see. I mean, I'm curious, does a Florida State fan really want to be in the SEC? Besides the money, I don't think they want any part of the SEC. They hate the Gators. Hate them. I don't think, to me, Florida State looks at Florida the way A&M now looks at Texas. I can't believe we have to share the same locker room with these blankety blanks.
Yeah, but it's a seat at the big boy table as opposed to not being at the table.
But you hit on it, Mark. Will the SEC want Florida State and Clemson? Because the Big 12 would treat them like they're rock stars.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Big 12 contract is good through the rest of the decade, and maybe even 2030. So they'll have a renegotiation here 5-6 years before the ACC will. Okay, Rough Tough. First off, I could make the case that, remember, 12-team playoff. We're just trying to get in. Number one. Number two, I'm getting $14 million more per year from my TV money than I am if I stay in the ACC. $14 million. Three, I'm on both Fox and ESPN if I go to the Big 12. I'm relegated to the really bad time slots if I'm on in the ACC because ESPN's owns the SEC and they're going to get all their good slots. I think you get better slots being in the Big 12 than if you stayed in the ACC. and you'd get more money. There is one thing about this that we're going to have to talk about, Mark, at some point. Would both Florida State rivalries survive? Or would one have to be sacrificed? Because the only way I see the Miami rivalry surviving is if Miami went with them. And I don't think Miami wants any part of it. They'd go Big Ten.
But they'd go Big 12 if there were no choices.
Okay. And obviously the Florida State-Miami thing in all sports are in the same conference. And so Florida State just has to worry about scheduling Florida. But if Florida State had to worry about scheduling them both.
No,
then basically they would play a 9-game conference schedule, Florida, Miami, and, a layup.
That's a great point. I mean, just looking at what's going on with the Pac-12, they may not last 2 years.
No. And here's the other irony, is that both Fox and ESPN used to be in on the Pac-12. And technically they still are because their contract goes for a few more years. But since they've both pulled out, they've both basically said, we're not interested in televising anything you got going forward. When those 4 Pac-12 schools go to the Big 12, they're both going to be throwing in the extra money to make up for it. All right. All hell breaks loose. Carolina, Virginia, Miami go to the Big Ten. There's one spot left. They call Notre Dame. The ACC is disintegrating. It's going to go away. Does Notre Dame join the Big Ten, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Because this would seem to be now or never. Like, who do they even enter into a deal with to do schedules with? Because if I'm the Big Ten, I'm calling them and I'm saying, by the way, you join us or none of our teams play you in any sport. Just so you know.
15 seconds. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 17 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. We're hoping to have John Fanta of Fox Sports. We haven't had him all year. That's a bad job by us. Man, good guess. Getting ready for the Big East tournament. Remember, we had him on a couple years ago. He told us Georgetown was going to win the whole thing.
And they did.
Yeah. Wondering if he's willing to make that same prediction for Nova or not this year. But anyway, David Sampson and Pat Kerwin for sure tomorrow.
Time right now for?
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
You know, that Chris Rock special, he talked about Meghan quite a bit. You'll have to catch that to get his views on that.
I saw a couple of the jokes in print. Okay. Took some shots. Funny shots, though.
Really good shots.
Funny shots.
Really good shots. We start today in 1836, the Battle of the Alamo. Today in 1857, the Dred Scott decision was made. Another proud moment. 1899, aspirin was patented by Felix Hoffmann, this German company called Bayer.
Ah. Remember them? They never had their aspirin was never coated. It was always, it was a tough taste. You had to wash it down really quickly. I was terrible at swallowing pills. Bayer aspirin
Are you
was always,
still?
I'm not good, but I'm able to get it done.
So like if I said choke this down without water, you couldn't do it.
Oh, no. No. I'm done with. Over.
Okay. 1923, the St. Louis Cardinals announced their players will wear numbers on their uniforms. 1954 was the first ACC men's basketball tournament. NC State would beat Wake Forest.
Was it on Raycom?
It's good.
Thank you.
Well played. 1964, Cassius Clay becomes Muhammad Ali. 1965, My Girl by the Temptations is number 1. Today in 67, Muhammad Ali is ordered by Selective Services to be inducted. Today in 72, Nicklaus passes Palmer as golf's all-time money winner. 1976, 17-year-old Puerto Rican Wilfred Benitez, in a 15-round split decision, becomes the WBA light welterweight champion at 17. He was kind of a badass.
Legendary fighter. That's why when Sugar Ray became champion, he beat him. And for those that were wondering whether or not Sugar Ray was a product of hype and what have you, and he outboxed Wilfred Benitez. 15-rounder, won the title. And that's when people went, huh, Sugar Ray guy's not all puff.
Today in 78, Hustler publisher Larry Flint was shot. In 81, Walter Cronkite signs off as the anchorman of the CBS Evening News. For Felipe, today in 82, it was the NBA's highest scoring game. San Antonio beat Milwaukee in 3 overtimes, 171-166. Today in 85, Mike Tyson would KO Hector Mercedes at 147 of the first round in Albany, New York in his first professional fight. Today in 98, The Big Lebowski was released. It's 25 years old today, and the dude still abides. And in 2000, the Bruins traded Ray Bourque to the Colorado Avalanche. Those born today that are no longer with us. Michelangelo. Casimir Pulaski. We see all those Pulaski halls. He's known as the father of the American Cavalry, for those of you wondering. For those of you that weren't.
And they named a skyway after him in the New York metropolitan area.
Lefty Grove born today. Lou Costello born today. Ed McMahon and Willie Stargell also born today. Those celebrating birthdays. David Gilmour, 77. Rob Reiner, 76. Tom Arnold, 64. Sleepy Floyd is 63. Shaq's 51. Sage Rosenfeld is 45. Mike McDaniel's 40. And Marcus Smart is 29 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, first of all, you didn't miss anything. So if we put a picture of McDaniel up and said, guess his age, what do you think most people would say? Like 31?
35.
And that is a young-looking guy.
Yeah.
40?
40.
Really? I might card him. I'll bet you he's gotten carded since he took the Dolphins job. I'll bet you he's gotten carded. I mean, it's not like he's got a big build either. I mean, you look at Mike McDaniel and you're thinking, come on. He's probably old enough, but I don't know. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to make him prove it.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to the Keys, where they had the Key West conch blowing contest. And it was a pediatric cardiologist from Georgia by the name of Brian Cardis who played the song Fins on a conch shell. That was your winner. Carol Whitley of Ontario, Canada, blew the longest, loudest blast with her shell to beat other competitors. For the bad, we go to California, where Wednesday night in the night sky was as close as Jupiter and Venus get to one another and made very bright stars in the sky. People were calling 911 because of the stars in California. I don't think I need to explain anything more than that. Finally, the ugly. We go to Inwood in Long Island, where Wilson Ula broke into a firehouse, stole a fire department pickup truck, and then used the stolen truck to start their own fire by striking a utility pole, which caused a house fire. They found the man on foot and gave him a sobriety test, which, wait for it, he failed.
No!
So a stolen fire department pickup truck and a house fire while drunk. That's a trifecta. It's a Gordie Howe hat trick, and that ends the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 6th, 2023.
All right, this is it. Final week, college basketball, conference tournament time. 2 bids being handed out tonight. In the Sun Belt, 2nd-seeded Lafayette against 8th-seeded South Alabama, which has won 3 games already in this tournament. And in the SoCon, Chattanooga and Furman in a 1-7 matchup. So how about that? We got a 2-8 and a 1-7 for the automatic bids in the Sun Belt and the SoCon. Kevin Samuel, former FGCUer last year, the big fella, he's the starting center on South Alabama. Just thought I'd mention that.
All right. NHL tonight. Handful of games, none of them involving Florida teams. Probably your best game tonight, Edmonton at Buffalo. There could be 10, 11 goals scored in that game.
Also, it's the ESPN Hockey Night game, so you can get it on Hulu and all that. Heat in action tonight. And I'm just going to throw this out there, Felipe. They're 3 back of Brooklyn in the loss column. Brooklyn's the 6th seed. Top 6 avoid the play-in. Right now, the Heat are hosting the Hawks tonight. They'd also host them in a play-in matchup, 7 versus 8. And they're only a game and a half ahead of the Hawks. If they were to lose tonight, they'd be in a virtual tie. I'm just saying. He got 17 games left. They may have to go like 12-5 at worst to get out of the play-in.
Lowest scoring team in the NBA on average. I mean, you just got to find a way to score.
I don't think the Heat can go 12-5 in their last 17.
I don't think
they're good enough to do it.
And I'm not sure that'll be enough. I mean, that means Brooklyn would have to play basically 500 ball for the Heat to catch them and avoid the play-in. But it gives you an idea. The math's starting to add up here pretty quickly. You look and you go, 2.5 back. Well, it's 3 in the loss column. We got 17 to play. By the way, the Celtics, after losing in double overtime at home last night, have to fly to Cleveland to play the Cavs. This could be a second-round playoff matchup. But Cleveland's a 6-point favorite at home.
Yeah, Boston must be sitting a bunch of players. I didn't look through the roster, but obviously there's some load management going on in the back-to-back here.
So there you have it.
A little bit of what's going on. Not much tonight, either NBA or NHL after a pretty big weekend.
No. You know me, I'm all excited. Sun Belt and SoCon, baby. We got bids going out tonight. Love it. I love conference championship games in a small conference, 1-bid leagues, the whole day. I just absolutely love it.
Well, and it makes for some great scenes. You know, good for Kennesaw State yesterday. They beat Liberty in the A-Sun. What was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? They had 1 win for the season?
1. They went 0 for the A-Sun, and they won 1 game. And 3 years later, they win the conference championship. Listen, you don't think that, Coach? I mean, hey, if Pastner gets fired at Georgia Tech, How do they look much further than Kennesaw to find their next coach?
Take a one-win team and put them in the tournament in 3 years. Absolutely amazing what he's done there.
There was a great scene. They barely survived. Both the semifinals and finals, Kennesaw won by 1. And they missed a ton of free throws down the stretch in the semi, and they were lucky to get out of there winning. And one of their best players, there's shot of him in a gym in which they basically had turned all the lights off. And there he is at midnight. He's shooting free throws by himself with like one light on. And somebody took a picture of it. Sure enough, down the stretch yesterday, Mark, who hit 3 big free throws down the stretch, including the game-winning free throw with like 2 seconds left. Yeah, the kid shooting free throws the night before at midnight.
Yeah, the good news was he missed the second one because it made it a lot easier to win with that thing going off the back of the rim as opposed to let them try to.
Right.
And he didn't. I'm watching the game screaming at the television. Why aren't you missing this on purpose?
By the way, anybody pay attention to the end of the Wisconsin-Minnesota game yesterday? Remember, Wisconsin didn't foul up 3, closing 2 seconds at Michigan. Wolverines hit the desperation 3, force overtime, win it. Yeah. Wisconsin's playing with a 3-point lead a couple times in the final 12 or so seconds. Yeah. Wisconsin fouled last night. Twice.
Thank you. Can't get on him for, I mean, learning and figuring it out. Foul. It's the smart play.
And they were hitting their free throws. So, they kept extending the lead to 3 every time. But then finally we get to around 10 seconds to go and they're up 3 and Wisconsin goes, I think we're going to foul. Yeah. And sure enough, it put Minnesota in the position where they made the first free throw and had to miss the second, tried to grab the rebound. They couldn't grab it. Wisconsin grabbed it, got fouled, iced the game at the line. Funny how that works.
We don't get it. And never will.
No. Hey, I was screaming and yelling at the Knicks last night. Up 7 with about a minute to go. Celtics hit 3 threes in a row. Now, it's harder in the NBA. It is. Okay, they spread the floor more and the whole deal. Okay, but, so what? Tatum's driving down the lane. You're up 3. Who cares if he scores? Horford's standing in the corner. That's the guy you got to worry about. Guys are getting paid, for goodness sakes. Anyway.
And we didn't get into we didn't get into the UFC because we don't.
Right. It's just not our thing.
It's just not our thing.
Sorry.
We didn't get into F1 or the Premier League either because those aren't our things either.
No.
We're aware that they all happened over the weekend. We're aware that some of you may have watched them.
Although something that we may have to get into tomorrow or later on in the week. Apparently Messi really wants to play in Miami. And there's no legitimate financial way that Miami's MLS team and the MLS can pull it off. And the commissioner of the MLS over the weekend basically said, if we have to rewrite the rule book, we're going to have to consider doing it.
You're darn right you are. You're darn right. That's a commissioner that I'm okay. Don't know if this Apple thing's going to work out for your league all that well, but you can certainly help it by getting a Messi.
And I love the fact that no one in the rest of the league said, hey, you can't do that and what have you. I went, okay, got to do what you got to do. Miller and Moulton. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
David Moulton.